Hello there and welcome to Science for Sleep. Beneath our feet lies a hidden world, vast and ancient, carved in silence and darkness. It is a place of wonder and mystery, a realm that has shaped human history, protected life, and preserved stories older than memory itself. Welcome to the deep and secret heart of the planet, the world of caves. To step inside one is to cross a threshold into time itself, where the walls whisper of vanished oceans, extinct creatures, and the quiet persistence of natural forces that never sleep. Caves are like time machines buried in stone, their chambers filled with the echoes of geological and biological history stretching back millions of years. They have sheltered early humans, kept fossils safe from wind and weather, and provided windows into ages that no eye has seen. Their stillness is deceptive, for even in silence, the earth is always at work. Within these dark expanses, where sunlight never reaches, entire ecosystems thrive, blind fish, ghostly insects, delicate fungi, all surviving in a balance as precise as clockwork. The air itself carries the scent of minerals and moisture, cool and steady, as if the planet's heartbeat can be felt through the stone. Yet, these extraordinary realms are not born from violence or chaos but from patience, drop by drop. When rain falls, it seeps through the soil, picking up carbon dioxide from the air and forming a mild acid. As this water filters down through layers of limestone, it dissolves the rock ever so slowly, hollowing out the tiniest cracks, then narrow tunnels, and finally grand chambers and winding corridors. This delicate process continues over thousands, then millions of years, carving labyrinths that stretch for miles. The same water that erodes the stone also builds new beauty within it, stalactites and stalagmites, slender and glistening, formed from minerals left behind by each falling drop. These formations grow so slowly that an inch may take centuries to appear. Every curve, every icicle-shaped pillar, every smooth flowstone is a sculpture of time itself. To stand beneath them is to feel the deep patience of the planet, as if it were breathing in slow motion. In these quiet cathedrals of stone, time moves differently. The human mind, so accustomed to speed, falters when faced with the immensity of geological time. Some of the most breathtaking caverns on Earth began forming when dinosaurs roamed the forests, when continents were still drifting toward their modern shapes. The pace of their growth is so subtle it can only be measured in millimeters per millennium. A stalagmite might take 10,000 years to rise a few inches, and yet over the ages, these small acts accumulate into landscapes of unimaginable grandeur. To walk through one is to move through eons condensed into space, a story that began long before humanity and will continue long after. But not all caves are born of water's gentle persistence. In volcanic regions, the artistry of fire creates its own underground wonders. When lava flows down the side of a volcano, the outer surface cools first, forming a crust that solidifies while molten rock still surges beneath. As the eruption fades and the lava drains away, these hollow tubes remain behind, lava caves, tunnels forged by molten rivers. Unlike limestone caves that take millions of years to form, these fiery passages can appear within days or weeks. Inside, the walls bear rippled marks of flowing lava, frozen in motion, their surfaces dark and glassy. Some stretch for miles, wide enough to walk through, with arched ceilings and smooth floors that echo faintly with every step. They are the Earth's exhalations, cooled and captured forever, reminders that the planet's heart still burns even as its surface grows still. At the edges of the continents, another kind of cave is sculpted, this time by the ceaseless rhythm of the sea. Where waves strike the cliffs again and again, the rock begins to yield, worn away by salt, sand, and the grinding force of water. Over centuries, hollows deepen into caverns, their entrances hidden behind crashing surf and foaming tides. Some are shallow, serving as resting places for seals and seabirds. Others stretch deep into the cliffs, where sunlight filters through narrow openings, painting the walls with shifting gold and blue reflections. When the tide rushes in, they boom and breathe like living creatures. For ancient sailors, these sea caves were portals to the unknown, mouths of the ocean gods themselves, mysterious and full of danger. Yet science reveals their true nature as patient works of erosion, water's tireless artistry shaping the border between land and sea. Caves can also exist where stone gives way to ice. In the frigid reaches of Greenland, Antarctica, and high mountain glaciers, meltwater flows through the frozen world, carving tunnels of blue light. These ice caves shimmer with colors that seem otherworldly: turquoise, sapphire, and crystal white, as sunlight filters through thick ice above. Their walls are smooth, translucent, and alive with the faint crackling sounds of movement. But unlike stone caves that endure for ages, ice caves are fleeting miracles. A tunnel carved one year may collapse the next as the glacier shifts and melts. To stand inside one is to step into something temporary, a glowing cathedral that will soon vanish, erased by the very element that formed it. Yet their beauty is unmatched, fragile, luminous, and breathtakingly alive, a reminder that even impermanence can be magnificent. Even air itself can carve caves. In deserts, where wind sweeps endlessly across sandstone cliffs, grains of sand carried on the breeze act like invisible chisels. Over centuries, they grind into the rock, hollowing out alcoves, arches, and winding passages. These Aeolian caves are shaped entirely by motion, by the whispering breath of the planet. Their surfaces are smooth and flowing, as if the wind had fingers that could sculpt. Some form shallow hollows where light dances across rippled stone. Others twist deep into cliffs where the only sound is the low hum of air moving through narrow spaces. They are testaments to the quiet power of persistence, proof that even the gentlest force, given enough time, can reshape the solid earth. And deep beneath the ground, where mineral-rich water lingers, another kind of beauty takes root. Here, caves become crystal gardens, where dissolved minerals slowly crystallize into shapes that defy imagination. In Mexico's famed Cave of the Crystals, colossal selenite formations stretch longer than buses, glowing in the heat like frozen beams of light. The air inside is thick and scorching, a place where humans can survive only for minutes, yet these massive crystals have grown undisturbed for hundreds of thousands of years. Smaller crystalline caves glitter like treasure chests, walls encrusted with quartz, gypsum, and calcite, reflecting light in 1,000 directions. Each crystal carries a story of chemistry and time, a record of temperature, pressure, and the precise balance of elements that allowed it to grow in perfect silence. In their presence, one feels both awe and humility, as if witnessing the earth's patient artistry preserved in stone. Despite their ancient stillness, caves are never truly finished. They are living landscapes, always changing, always reshaping themselves. Water still drips, carving new passages and building new formations while old ones crumble. In one corner, a stalactite lengthens by a fraction of a millimeter each year. In another, a ceiling collapses, creating a new chamber. Entire rivers can appear underground, disappearing into sinkholes and re-emerging miles away as springs. To return to the same cave after thousands of years would be to find it utterly transformed, a reminder that nothing on Earth is ever static, not even the rocks beneath our feet. Caves remind us that the planet itself is alive, breathing and evolving in rhythms too slow for us to see. Sometimes, however, that slow movement breaks suddenly into drama. When the roof of a cavern grows thin and weak, it can give way, collapsing into the hollow below. The ground above falls with it, leaving a depression called a sinkhole. Some are small, no larger than a pond, while others can swallow forests, buildings, even entire neighborhoods. In certain regions, these collapses reveal new cave entrances, exposing chambers that have been sealed for millennia. For scientists, sinkholes are both danger and discovery, a reminder of the fragility of the land and a gateway into the secrets it hides. For those who witness one form, it is a startling moment when the solid ground reveals its hidden hollowness, when the world literally opens beneath their feet. Throughout history, caves have played a quiet but profound role in human life. Our ancestors used them as shelters from storms, as sanctuaries from predators, and as sacred spaces for art and ritual. On their walls, they painted the stories of their world: bison and mammoths, hunters and spirits, constellations and dreams. These paintings endure, preserved by the stable air and darkness, the oldest expressions of human imagination still visible today. Archaeologists who explore these sites find tools, bones, and symbols that connect us to those who came before, the first storytellers whose voices echo still through the stone. Even now, scientists descend into these ancient spaces to uncover fossils, minerals, and microbes that thrive in conditions once thought lifeless. Each discovery adds another verse to the song of the planet's deep time. Caves are also homes, not just for the long dead, but for the living. Bats roost in their ceilings, their fluttering wings stirring the still air. Blind fish navigate their pools using senses beyond sight. Tiny insects scurry through crevices, feeding on fungi that grow in the damp darkness. These ecosystems are self-contained worlds, delicate and intricate, where every organism depends on another. To disturb one part is to risk unbalancing the whole. In the pitch-black environment, life adapts in extraordinary ways. Eyes vanish, pigments fade, and senses sharpen. Each creature becomes a marvel of evolution, shaped by darkness and endurance. The allure of caves has always been more than scientific. They stir something deep within us, a fascination with mystery, with what lies beyond the reach of light. To step into a cave is to feel both fear and wonder, to confront the unknown. Their silence is not empty but full, filled with the weight of ages, the pulse of water, the whisper of wind, and the unseen movements of life. When we explore them, we do more than study the earth. We return to something ancient within ourselves, to the instinct that once sought shelter in darkness and found safety in stone. And when you finally stand still, deep in a cavern where not even an echo answers your breath, there comes a moment of pure stillness. You realize that you are surrounded by time, slow, unyielding, eternal. The drip of water, the curve of stone, the shimmer of minerals, each is a note in a song that has played for millions of years. Caves teach us patience. They remind us that even the softest forces, water, wind, time, can shape the hardest stone. They show us beauty born of persistence, creation born of silence. So, as you drift through thought, imagine yourself walking deeper into this world beneath worlds. The air grows cooler, the light fades to shadow, and the sound of your footsteps merges with the steady rhythm of dripping water. You are no longer bound by hours or days, but moving through the slow heartbeat of the planet itself. Here, in the quiet of the underground, science and wonder are one and the same. The earth whispers its stories not in words, but in shapes and echoes, in the glitter of minerals and the breath of air that has never seen the sun. And as you listen, you begin to understand that the planet is not still, it is alive, always creating, always changing, always dreaming beneath the surface. What seems solid and eternal on the surface may in truth be hollow within, shaped by the slow patience of water as it dissolves and erodes the rock beneath our feet, waiting silently for the moment when its hidden work is revealed in the sudden opening of a sinkhole. These dramatic events remind us that caves are not only secret spaces buried deep underground but also forces capable of reshaping the surface world in an instant, revealing vast voids where once the ground appeared unshakable. Beneath that thin crust of certainty lies an unseen landscape of vastness and mystery. Caverns descending deeper than mountains rise, corridors extending farther than imagination can easily grasp. When we think of mountains, we imagine their proud peaks reaching skyward, standing as the highest expressions of the earth's might, yet below, hidden from sunlight and sky, there are caverns that plunge even deeper than those peaks soar. The deepest known caves reach downward for more than 6,000 feet, twisting through vertical shafts, narrow tunnels, and endless stone mazes. For explorers, descending into these realms is like climbing a mountain in reverse, a journey not into air and light but into pressure, silence, and shadow. As they move lower, the air grows heavy and stale, the temperature shifts, and underground rivers vanish into black chasms whose depths are unknowable. To reach the bottom of such a place requires days of climbing, rappelling, and navigating submerged passages, a test of endurance that feels more like a mission into another world than a simple act of exploration. To stand in the depths of these immense systems, with miles of rock pressing above, is to feel both awe and humility at once. A deep, wordless understanding that the Earth's interior is as grand and limitless as its sky. The deepest cave ever discovered, the Veryovkina Cave in the Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, plunges more than 6,800 feet into the ground, deeper than many mountains are tall. Those who have ventured into its darkness describe it as an alien environment where gravity seems reversed, where every step down feels like surrendering to the ancient weight of the world. Descending to its lowest reaches is not merely a journey through rock but through time itself, as if traveling into the memory of the planet. The air grows damp and thick, dripping walls gleam in flashlight beams, and every sound, footsteps, breath, the faint rush of unseen water, echoes endlessly in the blackness. At the bottom, explorers encounter rivers surging through narrow channels, vertical pits where the light of their headlamps vanishes completely, and an atmosphere so still that it feels eternal. The temperature remains constant year-round, cool and unmoving, untouched by the seasons above. In such depths, the world feels inverted, an invisible mountain of emptiness stretching downward instead of upward, as if the planet itself had turned inside out. Few humans have ever reached such places, and fewer still have lingered long, for the strain of pressure, humidity, and darkness tests the limits of endurance. Yet those who do speak of it as a pilgrimage, an encounter with the raw bones of the earth. Standing far below the surface, surrounded by millions of tons of stone, one cannot help but feel small, a fleeting spark of life in the vast machinery of creation. While some caves impress with their depth, others astonish with their vast reach across the land. The Mammoth Cave System in Kentucky, USA, is the longest known cave network on Earth, stretching for more than 400 miles. And even now, explorers continue to find new passages each year. It is not a single tunnel but an intricate web of corridors, chambers, shafts, and underground rivers layered atop one another like pages in a hidden book. The scale defies comprehension. Imagine a labyrinth so vast that if its tunnels were stretched out in a single line, they could cross entire states. The system has taken millions of years to form, water patiently carving its pathways through limestone, dissolving the rock and leaving behind an immense, interwoven world beneath the rolling forests of Kentucky. Explorers who have devoted decades to mapping its complexity admit that much of it remains unknown, for each new discovery often opens into another corridor, another junction, another seemingly endless passage fading into darkness. Within these spaces, strange and fragile ecosystems thrive. Blind fish glide silently through subterranean pools, cave crickets and pale salamanders move across the damp stone, and delicate colonies of fungi grow where mineral-rich water drips from the ceiling. The creatures that dwell here are perfectly adapted to a world without light, their existence a quiet miracle of evolution. Walking through even a small section of Mammoth Cave is humbling. The air is cool and still, the silence profound, broken only by the slow drip of water echoing through the dark. Everywhere around, the weight of the unseen world presses in, a reminder that beneath the surface of our familiar planet lies another, older Earth, one that breathes in darkness. And then there are the caverns so vast that they make cathedrals seem small. Step into certain chambers, and the sense of scale is staggering. The ceilings soar hundreds of feet above, the walls stretch beyond the reach of light. Your own voice becomes a ghostly echo, returning to you after long seconds, amplified and haunting. These immense underground halls can cover spaces as large as city blocks, with floors so wide and level that they seem crafted by design. Some are adorned with towering stalagmites rising like columns in a temple, others remain empty, echoing voids of perfect silence. The largest known chamber on Earth, the Sun Dun Cave in Vietnam, is so immense that clouds form inside it, real clouds that drift beneath the cave's roof, fed by mist and sunlight from openings above. Inside, jungles grow where the ceiling has collapsed, allowing daylight to filter through in radiant beams that illuminate groves of trees and moss-covered stones. It is a living landscape hidden within another, a microcosm of weather, life, and light thriving deep within the ground. To stand inside such a chamber is to witness nature's architecture at its grandest, a palace built not by human hands but by water, time, and the quiet persistence of erosion. The scale humbles the imagination, the beauty overwhelms the senses. It feels as though you have stepped into a secret sanctuary where the earth itself dreams in vast silence. In some of these colossal caverns, the ceiling rises higher than the tallest skyscrapers. In Sarawak Chamber within Malaysia's Gunung Mulan National Park, and in other monumental spaces like China's Sanmenxia Caverns, the roofs arch more than 600 feet above the ground, higher than many of the world's most famous towers. Standing beneath such height, a person feels infinitesimal, like an insect beneath the stony sky. The beam of a headlamp cannot reach the upper arches, and so the darkness above feels infinite, stretching upward forever. In a few of these grand halls, nature has created skylights where sections of roof have collapsed, allowing sunlight to pour in and nurture lush vegetation below. Trees and shrubs grow in the filtered light, their green leaves glowing against the gray of stone. Birds flit through the air, and in the mist of morning, small clouds drift lazily beneath the ceiling. These places blur the line between above and below, between cave and forest, between sky and stone. They are nature's cathedrals, silent evidence that even deep underground, life finds a way to flourish when given a single breath of light. Flowing through many of these caves are underground rivers, hidden arteries of the planet. They twist and wind through the stone, carving channels, feeding lakes, and cascading into hidden waterfalls that no sunlight ever touches. Some flow gently, clear as glass, while others rage with the power of floodwaters after heavy rains. Their sound fills the passages with a constant murmur, the heartbeat of the underworld. Explorers sometimes navigate these rivers by boat, drifting through tunnels so narrow that their paddles brush both sides, or diving beneath submerged arches where the ceiling dips low. These rivers are lifelines, sustaining unique ecosystems of fish, crustaceans, and microbes that exist nowhere else. They also connect surface life to the deep, re-emerging as springs that feed forests, fields, and villages. For those who follow their course, the experience is both mesmerizing and perilous. A world of beauty balanced on the edge of danger. A sudden rise in water level can transform a tranquil corridor into a torrent, trapping anyone within. Yet despite the risks, the draw of these rivers remains irresistible, for they reveal how deeply water shapes the world, both seen and unseen. In the quietest corners of these subterranean networks lie lakes that have never seen the light of day. Hidden in deep chambers, these bodies of water rest in absolute darkness, undisturbed for centuries or even millennia. Some are so still that their surfaces appear solid, like black glass reflecting the faint glow of explorers' lamps. Others shimmer with movement, fed by invisible springs or slow drips from above. The water is often astonishingly clear, filtered by layers of rock until it becomes purer than the cleanest surface water. These lakes are sealed from the world-isolated realms where evolution has taken strange and beautiful turns. Within them live blind fish, ghostly crustaceans, and microscopic organisms that rely on chemical energy rather than sunlight. Standing beside one, you feel as though you are looking into eternity, a mirror of time itself, reflecting nothing but the endless dark. The silence around them is complete. No wind, no waves, no sound at all except the soft drip of distant water. It is a silence so deep it feels alive, as though the lake itself is holding its breath. These subterranean waters are the memory of the planet, preserving stories older than humankind, secrets unspoken for ages. Some caves are so enormous that they could hold thousands of people, natural amphitheaters of stone. The largest chambers stretch wider than sports arenas, with floors that extend for hundreds of yards and ceilings lost in darkness overhead. In such spaces, a single voice can echo like a choir, expanding and reverberating until it fills the hall with music. In ancient times, people gathered in these caverns for rituals, shelter, and ceremony. Even today, musicians sometimes perform in them, turning the natural acoustics into instruments of haunting resonance. The sound of a note lingering in the vast hollow feels otherworldly, as if the earth itself were singing back. These places remind us that caves are not merely voids, but spaces of connection, between sound and silence, between human and nature, between the known and the infinite. Every vibration, every breath, every whisper becomes part of the living music of stone. When we think of the grandeur of the earth, we often look upward, to the mountains, the sky, the stars, but the world beneath us holds wonders no less profound. The underworld of caves is not a realm of emptiness but of creation, patience, and mystery. It shows us how fragile the surface world truly is, how thin the crust is between light and shadow, between what we see and what lies hidden. Caves remind us that even the solid ground beneath our feet is alive with motion, shaped by forces too slow for us to notice. Water seeps, minerals gather, stone yields, time whispers, and from these quiet acts, entire worlds are born. Whether they plunge deeper than mountains, stretch longer than rivers, or rise higher than towers, caves stand as the earth's secret cathedrals, vast, silent, and eternal. To journey through them is to wander through the very memory of the planet, to listen to the soft voice of time itself, speaking from the dark. To stand in a chamber that could house entire towns is to realize the immense scale of the forces shaping the earth. These vast hollows are not merely empty spaces within rock, but natural cathedrals, vast sanctuaries formed through time, pressure, and patience, where the very magnitude of the underground world challenges our perception of what nature can create. Some caves seem to breathe, to hum with their own resonance, as if the planet itself were playing a symphony hidden beneath our feet. In certain caves, the combination of chamber shape, mineral composition, and the natural movement of air produces sounds so haunting that they seem alive. A single shout can echo endlessly, bouncing from wall to wall in ghostly harmonies, turning one voice into a chorus. Water dripping steadily from stalactites strikes hollow surfaces below, each drop creating a distinct note in nature's hidden xylophone. In some caverns, wind rushing through narrow corridors hums in deep tones like the pipes of an invisible organ. Explorers have even found stalactites and stalagmites that ring when struck, producing tones so pure they sound like bells cast from stone. These natural acoustics have inspired legends throughout history, with ancient civilizations believing that caves were living entities, sacred voices of gods or spirits whispering through the earth. Today, scientists study these same echoes as demonstrations of how sound interacts with complex spaces, transforming chambers of rock into instruments on a scale far beyond human construction. Listening to a cave sing or hum is to tune into the voice of the earth itself, a reminder that even in the deepest silence, the underground world is never truly silent. Beneath mountains and valleys, waterfalls roar unseen. Hidden waterfalls thunder through the darkness, cascading from unseen heights into shadowy pools below, shrouded in perpetual mist. Their water, having journeyed through endless cracks and veins of stone, bursts into open chambers where it falls in a spectacle of sound and spray, echoing off the walls until it seems as though the cave itself is breathing in rhythm with the falling water. These underground cascades vary in size, from gentle drizzles no higher than a person's shoulder to mighty torrents rivaling the grandeur of surface waterfalls like Niagara or Angel Falls. Yet here, in the complete absence of sunlight, they seem almost supernatural. Their endless motion carves smooth basins in the rock, feeding subterranean rivers that snake through the darkness, and maintaining humid microclimates that support strange forms of life found nowhere else on Earth. The discovery of such a waterfall can leave explorers in awe, for in a place where stillness reigns, to suddenly encounter roaring water is to feel the pulse of a hidden world, a reminder that the earth below is not frozen or lifeless, but teeming with unseen power and transformation. Deep beneath the deserts of northern Mexico lies one of nature's most otherworldly wonders, the Cave of the Crystals. Inside this hidden chamber, the largest natural crystals on Earth stretch like colossal glass pillars, some longer than buses, others so heavy they could crush machinery. These gleaming selenite formations took hundreds of thousands of years to grow in a chamber of mineral-rich water heated by geothermal energy, forming undisturbed until they reached monumental size. Entering the cave is like stepping into a dreamscape, beams of translucent stone crisscrossing through the chamber, glowing faintly in the dim light like frozen lightning. Yet the beauty hides danger. The temperature inside exceeds 50 degrees Celsius, with humidity so intense that unprotected explorers can survive for only minutes before collapsing. The crystals are fragile too, sensitive to changes in air and temperature, and so the cave remains sealed from most visitors, preserved like a natural treasure chest holding Earth's most perfect jewels. These crystals are ancient witnesses, formed slowly in total darkness, enduring longer than the span of human civilization. To behold them is to see time itself solidified, an artwork crafted by patience and chemistry. Yet caves are not always hospitable. Their air, while cool and still, can harbor invisible dangers. In many cave systems, where organic matter decays and groundwater interacts with limestone, carbon dioxide levels rise far higher than on the surface. Invisible and odorless, it collects in low chambers, heavy and silent, creating hidden pockets where candles refuse to burn and lungs struggle to draw breath. Explorers descending into such depths must carry detectors and monitors, for this invisible hazard can cause dizziness, confusion, or even suffocation without warning. But to the creatures that live here, blind fish, translucent crustaceans, pale insects, this heavy air is no threat. It is simply home, part of an ecosystem finely tuned to conditions that would overwhelm us. These adaptations remind us that caves are not lifeless voids, but complex environments with their own atmospheres, chemistries, and rules. To breathe underground is to cross a boundary into another realm, one where even air must be respected as a living, shifting presence. Another invisible inhabitant of the deep is radon gas, a silent traveler rising from the slow decay of uranium in the rocks. Odorless and colorless, it accumulates in the stillness of deep caves, where air circulation is weak. Long-term exposure to high levels can be hazardous to humans, yet this same gas provides scientists with vital information about the Earth's geology. Radon levels reveal the composition of rocks, the pathways of underground gases, and even fluctuations that hint at seismic activity. Thus, what threatens explorers also serves as a messenger from the Earth's unseen layers. It is a paradox that defines the underground world, danger and discovery intertwined, every risk a window into deeper understanding. Within these caverns, rock itself seems alive. Stalagmites rise from the floor like patient stone trees, built drop by drop from mineral-rich water. Each droplet that falls leaves behind an invisible film of calcite, which over centuries hardens and thickens until it becomes a cone, a pillar, a monument of time. The growth is painfully slow, a mere fraction of an inch in a century, yet over millions of years, some reach the height of houses or merge with their ceiling-born counterparts, the stalactites, to form columns as grand as temple pillars. Each structure is a chronicle of water, rock, and time. Within its layers lie records of past climates, of rainfall and drought, of the chemistry of the world above when each drop fell. Stalagmites and stalactites are Earth's diaries, written not in ink but in stone, their lines etched by the steady rhythm of dripping water. But not all caves are gray, damp corridors of shadow. Some glow with color, their walls painted by minerals carried through groundwater. Iron stains stone in rich shades of red and orange. Copper leaves behind strokes of turquoise and green. Manganese spreads deep black streaks across the rock like ancient calligraphy. In some chambers, these pigments flow across the walls in abstract patterns so vivid they resemble murals made by a divine hand. To early humans who first entered such spaces with flickering torches, these colors must have seemed like messages from the gods, proof that the earth itself could paint. To modern eyes, they are geological masterpieces, artwork sculpted by chemistry and chance, by the patient movement of mineral-laden water over countless millennia. Walking through such a cave feels like stepping into a gallery of natural art, where every curve of stone and streak of color tells the story of creation without a single word. In rare places, the magic deepens. Some caves contain minerals that glow faintly in the dark, even after lights are extinguished. These phosphorescent stones absorb light and then release it slowly, bathing the walls in an ethereal glow that lingers like starlight fading from the night sky. Under ultraviolet light, fluorescent minerals blaze in vivid blues, greens, and purples, transforming an ordinary cavern into a cosmic dreamscape. The rocks themselves seem alive, storing and releasing energy in a delicate rhythm that defies logic. To stand in such a place is to feel as if the earth is breathing light, its own quiet heartbeat made visible for a moment before darkness returns. While many caves are carved gently by water and time, some are shaped by a far fiercer sculptor, sulfuric acid. Deep underground, hydrogen sulfide gas rising from mineral springs meets oxygen-rich water, producing sulfuric acid strong enough to dissolve limestone rapidly. This chemical process has created some of the world's most dramatic caverns, including Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico, a labyrinth of colossal halls and delicate formations carved not by dripping water, but by the violent reaction of gas and rock. Here, acid has eaten through the earth with relentless precision, forming chambers so vast that their ceilings soar like clouds. The story of such caves is not one of slow erosion, but of chemical fury, a testament to the hidden powers of geology operating far from the touch of sunlight. These caverns, whether born from acid, water, or gas, are the Earth's silent cathedrals, places where the invisible becomes monumental. Each tunnel, each crystal, each echo tells of time measured not in years but in eras. They remind us that below every mountain lies another world, a reflection of the one above, inverted and secret, sculpted by patience and pressure. To explore them is to descend not just into the Earth's crust, but into its memory, to witness processes so vast and ancient that human history feels like a flicker against their scale. The deeper one goes, the more the senses distort, sight fades, sound expands, and the heartbeat begins to sync with the rhythm of dripping water and whispering air. Every echo becomes a reminder of isolation, every shimmer of mineral light, a hint of eternity. Standing within a chamber large enough to swallow a city or beneath crystals that gleam like frozen lightning, one realizes that these caves are not voids but vessels of creation, repositories of the planet's slow and ceaseless artistry. They are proof that beauty does not always bloom in light. Sometimes it thrives in darkness, in silence, and in the unseen patience of stone. The walls of these mysterious caverns bear silent testimony to the strange and powerful processes that shape them, their surfaces marked by unusual textures and contours unlike those found in caves formed by the slow erosion of water. These sulfuric acid caves are striking examples of how chemical reactions can sculpt entire landscapes, transforming solid rock into fragile, ghostly corridors that seem to have been eaten away from within. To wander through them is to witness stone that has been hollowed by forces unseen, sculpted not by the steady trickle of rivers or the grinding of glaciers, but by invisible currents of acid slowly dissolving the mountain's heart. The air inside feels heavy and ancient, carrying the scent of minerals and transformation. Each surface seems alive with history, shaped by reactions that, though invisible to the eye, are powerful enough to carve entire subterranean worlds. In contrast, salt caves reveal an entirely different kind of underground artistry, soft, shimmering, and alive in ways that challenge our very idea of what stone can be. Unlike the hard, enduring limestone of most caves, salt is fluid, plastic, and restless. Under immense pressure, its walls creep and flow over time, bending and reshaping like something alive. Formed in the ghostly footprints of vanished seas that once blanketed the earth, these salt caverns twist and contort in slow, graceful motion, each fold and curve a frozen dance of geology. Explorers have reported witnessing the subtle shifting of walls, hearing faint crackles as crystals grow, and watching delicate lacework of salt patterns appear as though painted by unseen hands. Because salt dissolves so easily, water sculpts these caves quickly, changing their appearance over remarkably short geological timescales. To step into one is to enter a living, breathing landscape, fragile and ever-changing, where crystalline walls shimmer like glass and light scatters in dazzling rainbows. The sense of being on another planet is overwhelming. The surfaces sparkle as though they belong not to Earth but to some alien moon. Yet, these caves are more than natural sculptures. They are timekeepers of the planet itself. Within the layers of rock, certain formations hold trapped bubbles of ancient air, sealed away as minerals crystallized eons ago. These tiny, fragile pockets are windows into Earth's distant atmosphere, preserving samples of air that once swept across ancient forests and oceans. Scientists study them like sacred relics, unlocking the chemical stories they hold, the concentration of oxygen, carbon dioxide, and other gases that defined Earth's ancient climates. Through these minute traces, we learn of ice ages and warm epochs, of the rise and fall of species, and of the shifting balance that allowed life to flourish. Holding a stalagmite containing one of these air bubbles is like cradling a fragment of prehistory, a whisper from a sky long vanished, kept safe within stone for millions of years. Caves are not only archives of air but also records of Earth's magnetic memory. Hidden in their ceilings and walls are magnetic minerals such as magnetite, aligned with the planet's magnetic field at the moment they formed. Locked within these rocks are silent compasses pointing to the magnetic poles as they once were, preserving the movements and reversals of Earth's invisible shield across ages. Scientists who study these formations decode ancient magnetic shifts, reading the story of how our planet's inner forces have changed over millennia. Occasionally, these minerals can even disrupt compasses used by explorers, causing needles to quiver and spin in defiance of expectation, as though the cave itself possesses a magnetic will. To stand beneath a ceiling infused with magnetite is to stand inside a natural archive of Earth's unseen energies, a place where magnetism itself has left its signature in stone. Yet even more profound secrets lie deeper still. Fossilized remains of microorganisms that lived long before the age of dinosaurs. In the hushed darkness of these caverns, where moisture and minerals interact with exquisite precision, the traces of ancient microbes become immortalized in rock. These microscopic fossils, sometimes shaped like filaments or spheres, are remnants of life that existed hundreds of millions of years ago, preserved in perfect stillness. Through them, we begin to understand not only Earth's evolutionary past but also how life might exist beyond it, on icy moons, on barren planets, wherever chemistry and persistence meet. Caves, in this sense, are museums of life and death, preservation chambers for both rock and organism. To realize that the stone before you may contain the fossil of a microorganism older than any species we know is to feel the weight of time pressing close in the darkness. Yet not all that thrives within caves is ancient or dead. Even now, deep in eternal shadow where sunlight never reaches, entire ecosystems flourish. Here, life has found a way to adapt without light, to survive on the faintest whispers of energy. These hidden communities exist on a delicate balance, microbes feeding on minerals, insects grazing on microbial films, and predators lurking in the still waters. Instead of drawing energy from the sun, many depend on chemical reactions between minerals and water or on nutrients carried down by dripping groundwater or the guano of bats that roost above. Every scrap of energy is precious, recycled endlessly through a fragile chain of life. Insects, worms, crustaceans, blind fish, and salamanders coexist in a world defined not by light but by touch, vibration, and scent. The slowness of their movements mirrors the patience of the cave itself, each creature a master of adaptation in an environment that demands efficiency above all. To step into such a place is to leave behind the familiar rules of ecology and enter an alien world where life has redefined its own boundaries. Among the most astonishing of these creatures are the fish that have lost their eyes entirely. In the absolute darkness of subterranean lakes and rivers, vision becomes not just unnecessary but wasteful. Over countless generations, these fish have gradually evolved to forego eyes altogether, their sockets shrinking or disappearing, their skin turning pale and translucent until they seem made of moonlight. In the absence of sight, their other senses grow extraordinary. They navigate through vibrations, detect chemical traces in the water, and move with uncanny precision, guided by pressure-sensitive organs that map the unseen world around them. Each motion is a language of touch and flow, a choreography of survival in total blackness. Evolution, in these creatures, has taken a path of subtraction, removing what is no longer needed and refining what remains to perfection. For scientists, they are living laboratories of genetic adaptation. The genes that once governed eyesight are still present but silenced, offering clues about how traits can be deactivated and perhaps reawakened, even shedding light on human eye diseases and development. Watching one of these eyeless fish glide silently through black water feels like observing a being from another dimension, one sculpted entirely by the absence of light. And where fish drift, crustaceans crawl. Shrimp-like and crab-like creatures have followed a similar path of evolution, their eyes vanished, their limbs elongated, and their antennae transformed into exquisite sensory tools that can detect the faintest vibrations. Living in underground pools and streams sealed off from the surface for millions of years, these blind crustaceans have adapted to a world of pure touch. Their pale, ghostly bodies gleam faintly, almost transparent, as though made of glass. Each population in each cave is its own evolutionary experiment, cut off from the others, following its unique trajectory toward blindness. In them, scientists see the principle of convergent evolution, different species, isolated and unconnected, arriving at the same solution to the same problem: how to survive without sight. To them, blindness is not a flaw but freedom, a release from the costly maintenance of vision in a realm where light no longer matters. These creatures embody the quiet brilliance of evolution, where life not only adapts but reinvents itself in endless ways. To explore such a cave is to journey through both time and transformation, a place where chemistry becomes architecture, where stone records the breath of ancient skies, and where life, both past and present, reveals its infinite capacity for reinvention. Every drip of mineral-rich water, every shimmer of salt, every silent fish is part of a grand story of change, one that began long before humanity and will continue long after. Caves are, in their essence, the Earth's memory, deep, dark, and enduring, holding within their walls the chronicles of matter, motion, and life itself. In their quiet, unseen world, the creatures of caves are masters of adaptation, shaping their lives around darkness and silence. Among them, bats reign as architects of night. When dusk falls, the entrances of caves awaken with the sound of fluttering wings as thousands of bats take to the air. For countless species, caves provide the perfect refuge, safe, stable, and dark, offering protection from predators and extremes of temperature. Yet, these creatures move through pitch-black tunnels and the open night sky with perfect precision, guided not by sight but by sound. Through the miraculous process of echolocation, bats emit rapid bursts of high-frequency calls, far above the range of human hearing, and listen to the echoes that return. Each reflection paints an auditory image of the world around them, a living map that allows them to navigate tight spaces and snatch tiny insects mid-flight with astonishing accuracy. To watch them stream from a cave at dusk is to witness sound transformed into movement, an invisible radar at work. Their reliance on sound rather than sight mirrors the adaptations of blind fish and crustaceans deep below, reminding us that in the underworld of caves, survival depends not on vision, but on an extraordinary sensitivity to the unseen. Step deeper still, and another form of light greets you, one born not from the sun, but from life itself. In certain caverns, ceilings sparkle with ghostly blue-green stars as glowworms weave their luminous traps. These small insect larvae, through the natural wonder of bioluminescence, hang delicate threads from cave ceilings, glowing faintly to lure unsuspecting prey. Insects, fooled by the shimmering light, drift toward what they think is moonlight or open sky, only to become ensnared in the sticky silk. The glowworms then reel in their catch with patient precision. Entire chambers in New Zealand and Australia gleam with these living galaxies, transforming the blackness into a field of stars. For early explorers, it must have felt like stepping into a dream, an underground night sky turned upside down. To lie beneath such a ceiling is to drift between Earth and cosmos, between stone and sky, where the slow pulse of each tiny creature illuminates the endless dark. In the hidden waterways of European caves dwells another of nature's miracles, the Olm, or cave salamander, a pale and ghostly being that lives its entire life in darkness. With translucent skin and slender limbs, it seems carved from wax or marble, a creature both fragile and eternal. In the cold subterranean streams it calls home, food is scarce, so the Olm has adapted by slowing its metabolism to an astonishing degree. It can survive for years without eating, sustained by the faintest trace of nutrients in the water. These delicate beings can live more than a century, an extraordinary lifespan for an amphibian. Once thought to be the offspring of dragons, washed up from mythical underworlds by storms, the Olm has inspired wonder for centuries. To see one glide through black water is to glimpse life at its most ethereal, a living ghost perfectly sculpted for a silent realm. Yet not all life in caves is visible to the naked eye. Hidden within the stone itself, countless colonies of microbes thrive, feeding directly on the minerals around them. In a world devoid of sunlight, these bacteria extract energy not from photosynthesis, but from chemistry, metabolizing iron, sulfur, and other elements to sustain themselves. They coat the walls in thin, iridescent films, creating intricate patterns that shimmer faintly under light. For scientists, these microbes are like messengers from another planet, revealing how life can persist in conditions that seem utterly inhospitable. Their existence proves that life's boundaries are far wider than we once imagined, extending into stone, into heat, into the deep, lightless veins of the earth itself. Entire microbial ecosystems flourish where no plant or animal could survive, reshaping rock and influencing the cave's chemistry. What seems inert and lifeless stone may, in truth, be alive with invisible activity, countless microscopic lives quietly eating rock in the dark. These hidden organisms remind us that life does not depend on sunlight. It can draw energy from the barest threads of matter. In the deepest caves, isolation breeds uniqueness. Cut off from the surface world for millions of years, some cave systems have become sealed microcosms of evolution, incubating species found nowhere else on Earth. Here, evolution has walked its own solitary paths, producing fish, insects, spiders, and amphibians unlike any others. Some of these creatures inhabit only a single chamber of a single cave, existing in numbers so small that a single disruption could erase them forever. Their bodies are pale and delicate, their senses heightened to detect the slightest vibration or whiff of air, their metabolism slowed to match the scarcity of food. But with such specialization comes fragility. Pollution, careless tourism, or an introduced predator could destroy entire species in moments, wiping out evolutionary histories that took millions of years to write. These cave endemics, species found nowhere else, are living testaments to both life's creativity and its vulnerability. They remind us that even in the age of satellites and space exploration, there are still undiscovered worlds hidden beneath our feet, harboring mysteries as profound as those of the stars. Yet, perhaps the most astonishing discoveries of all are microscopic. In 2015, scientists exploring a remote cave uncovered bacteria resistant to nearly every antibiotic known to medicine. These organisms had never encountered humans or modern drugs. Their immunity had evolved naturally over millions of years of microbial warfare. Each species competed for survival, developing chemical defenses and counter-defenses in a microscopic arms race. For researchers, these findings opened a thrilling frontier, proof that caves could hold the key to future medicines. In their biochemical arsenal may lie new antibiotics and treatments capable of fighting resistant infections that plague humanity. The extreme isolation and unique chemistry of caves force microorganisms to evolve extraordinary survival tools, many of which could be harnessed for science. To imagine that the cure for a deadly disease might one day be found in a drop of cave water or a scrap of mineral film is humbling. Within these dark, quiet worlds, nature has been conducting experiments in chemistry and biology far longer than humans have walked the earth. But not all the inhabitants of caves are microscopic. In the upper vaults and shadows, patient predators lie in wait. Certain spiders, adapted to perpetual night, spin enormous webs that stretch across entire chambers, yards of silk glistening faintly when touched by stray light. Unlike the delicate webs of gardens or forests, these are sprawling traps, designed to intercept the rare insects that stray into the cave's depths. The spiders themselves are pale, long-legged, and slow-moving, conserving energy in a place where prey is scarce. Their lives are measured in patience, their silk curtains an essential part of the cave's delicate ecosystem. To stumble upon one of these vast webs is to encounter the living architecture of survival, threads that recycle energy and life in a realm where both are precious. The stillness of the cave hides hunters and prey alike, each playing their part in the eternal balance. But caves have not only sheltered life, they have also sheltered imagination. To stand before them is to look directly into the human past, to meet the minds of ancestors who lived in a world where survival was uncertain, yet the urge to create endured. Archaeologists debate their purpose, perhaps ritual, storytelling, education, or a plea to the unseen forces of nature, but whatever their meaning, they reveal the timeless need to express wonder and belonging. That humanity's earliest surviving art exists in caves, deep away from sunlight, suggests that our ancestors saw these places as sacred, thresholds between the visible and invisible worlds. Caves were not merely shelters, they were sanctuaries of thought, wombs of creativity. Indeed, for tens of thousands of years, they also served as literal homes. Long before cities and stone houses, caves offered refuge from storms, predators, and freezing nights. Archaeological excavations have uncovered traces of hearths, tools, and bones, evidence of ancient families gathered around fires within the earth's embrace. The temperature of caves remains remarkably constant, cool in summer, warm in winter, a natural refuge against the elements. In some sites, archaeologists have found layers of habitation, each marking a return of humans to the same shelter across generations, across ages. These caves became the cradles of early society, places where stories were told, where art was born, where knowledge passed from one generation to the next. To imagine the flicker of firelight dancing across painted walls while children slept beside their parents in the safety of stone is to feel the continuity of humanity stretching across time. The same caverns that once echoed with the calls of bats, the drip of water, and the whisper of wind also once held laughter, fear, and love. They are both womb and tomb, home and mystery, silent witnesses to evolution, art, survival, and science. Within them, we see life in its purest form, adapting, enduring, glowing faintly in the dark, waiting patiently for the next curious mind to listen. In the silent heart of the earth lie the places where humanity's earliest chapters unfolded in firelight and shadow, where echoes of the past linger in every drip of water and whisper of stone. Within these natural cathedrals, time stands still, preserving secrets from ages long gone. Caves have acted as nature's archives, their cool, stable environments serving as perfect preservers of bones, tools, and memories. Beneath layers of sediment and centuries of darkness, the remains of creatures that once ruled the Ice Age lie undisturbed: giant cave bears, saber-toothed cats, mammoths, and more. Some ventured inside seeking refuge from storms or predators, while others fell into hidden pits, never to emerge again. Over millennia, their bones became encased in mineral deposits, protected from decay and sunlight, turning caves into natural museums curated by the earth itself. When explorers and scientists step into such chambers, they do not simply find bones. They uncover stories, traces of lost worlds, vanished species, and ancient ecosystems that once flourished above ground. In rare cases, even fragments of DNA endure, allowing researchers to reconstruct genetic histories and glimpse the lineage of life that preceded humanity. Walking into a cave scattered with fossil remains feels like walking through a time machine, where the past breathes quietly beneath your feet and every stone whispers of what once was. Yet caves hold more than the memories of beasts. They preserve the stories of our closest kin. From the cool depths of Shanidar Cave in Iraq to the shadowed hollows of Europe, the traces of Neanderthals, our evolutionary relatives, sleep within the rock. Their bones, their hearts, and their tools tell of lives shaped by both survival and compassion. In Shanidar, archaeologists uncovered skeletons that revealed tenderness and care, evidence that the injured had been tended to and the dead deliberately buried. These findings speak of complex social bonds and emotional depth, suggesting that even before Homo sapiens, empathy had already kindled its flame. Elsewhere, bones marked with cut lines show how Neanderthals prepared their food and crafted their tools, adapting to harsh Ice Age climates with intelligence and skill. The stable, protective conditions of caves have preserved these remnants far better than any open-air site ever could, giving scientists clear, tangible windows into the distant human past. To stand in a chamber where Neanderthals once gathered around a flickering fire is to share space with history itself, to feel the faint warmth of long-vanished flames and to imagine their laughter, their stories, their moments of silence as sparks rose into the dark. Some caves were not just shelters for the living but sanctuaries for the dead. Across the world, ancient cultures saw these spaces as portals to the afterlife, thresholds between earth and spirit. Deep within, archaeologists have uncovered burial chambers where the deceased were laid to rest with care, surrounded by offerings of pottery, tools, or ornaments. The stillness of such spaces feels sacred, as though the air itself remembers the rituals once performed there. Some burials remain so well preserved that fragments of clothing, jewelry, or even skin have survived, granting intimate glimpses into lives lived thousands of years ago. These silent tombs reveal that caves were never merely shelters from nature's fury. They were sacred landscapes of meaning, where birth, death, and eternity intertwined. Standing in such a chamber, one feels the weight of reverence, the echo of chants long silenced, and the enduring human desire to understand what lies beyond life's final breath. Through millennia, caves have also served as vaults for treasure and memory. From bandits hiding stolen riches to priests protecting sacred relics, people have long turned to the earth's shadows for secrecy. The Dead Sea Scrolls, among the most precious religious manuscripts in human history, were concealed in desert caves for nearly 2,000 years, their parchment untouched until rediscovery in the 20th century. Across continents, legends persist of hidden gold, lost relics, and forgotten royal treasures buried deep in stone. Archaeologists have indeed uncovered ancient hoards, coins, ornaments, ceremonial objects, hidden away from war, conquest, or time itself. Each discovery fuels both scientific curiosity and the human love of mystery, blending fact and legend into timeless tales of adventure. For as long as people have walked the earth, caves have existed not only as shelters but as secret keepers, preserving what the surface world forgets. Yet not all that was hidden underground was material. For countless generations, caves were places of worship, their natural grandeur transformed into temples and shrines. Across cultures, from India's Ajanta and Ellora caves to the stone chapels of medieval Europe, the faithful carved sanctuaries into living rock. Pilgrims descended into the cool darkness with torches and prayers, their footsteps echoing through chambers that magnified both voice and spirit. In India, monks carved vast monasteries and statues from the cliffs, creating halls where devotion met artistry, where flickering light danced across sacred faces. In Europe, hermits sought solitude in underground chapels, finding God not in sunlight but in silence. Even today, in parts of Asia and Eastern Europe, cave shrines remain active, places where faith and geology intertwine, where the earth itself becomes a cathedral. Standing within one of these sanctuaries, the air heavy with incense or the scent of damp stone, one feels both humbled and uplifted, a reminder that from the beginning of civilization, humanity has sought connection to the divine in the depths of the world as well as its heights. But even before temples and tombs, the first artists found their canvas here. On the walls of ancient caves, human hands painted stories in ochre, charcoal, and clay. Tens of thousands of years ago, our ancestors pressed their palms against cold rock and blew pigment around them, leaving behind haunting silhouettes, negative handprints frozen in time. Some belonged to adults, others to children, a chorus of human presence spanning ages. No one knows their exact meaning. Were they signatures, symbols of belonging, or offerings to unseen spirits? Whatever their purpose, they remain among the most intimate relics of the human spirit. To place your own hand near one of those prints is to bridge 40 millennia, to feel the heartbeat of someone who once stood in the same darkness, illuminated only by firelight, reaching out through time. The cave walls, marked with those ghostly outlines, serve as humanity's earliest record of identity, creativity, and connection. Nearby, painted animals seem to gallop and breathe across stone, bison, horses, mammoths, and deer rendered with astonishing skill. These artists painted not in comfort but in the dim, smoky glow of burning wood. Archaeologists have found soot marks and charcoal traces on ceilings, proof of the fires that lit their work. Imagine the scene: an artist crouched low, grinding pigments from minerals, dipping a brush of animal hair, then painting by trembling flame. The shifting light would make the painted animals appear to move, perhaps intentionally, creating the illusion of life. Those same charred remnants of ancient fires still survive, fragile black witnesses to human creativity. They remind us that art was not a luxury but a necessity, a way to make sense of existence, to transform darkness into meaning. Even after tens of thousands of years, the ashes of those fires connect us to minds that dared to imagine beauty in the blackness. The same caves that sheltered artists and dreamers also safeguarded the everyday tools of survival. Hidden from weather and decay, these artifacts, stone blades, scrapers, bone needles, wooden spears, have remained astonishingly well preserved. Some still bear the marks of the hands that made and wielded them. To hold such a tool is to shake hands across time, to touch the ingenuity of ancestors who shaped their world with skill and purpose. Because caves protect against wind, sun, and rain, they have become time capsules of human craft, offering clues about how early societies lived, hunted, and thrived. Every chipped edge, every worn handle tells a story, not just of survival, but of learning, invention, and adaptation. In these artifacts, science meets soul. They are not merely objects, but echoes of lives once lived. Beyond human history, nature too has written its own masterpieces in stone. In certain caverns, water rich with minerals performs an ancient, patient alchemy. As droplets fall into still pools, layers of calcium carbonate slowly coat grains of sand or fragments of rock, turning them, over centuries, into cave pearls. These delicate formations are geological treasures, their surfaces polished smooth by the gentle swirl of water. Most are tiny, smaller than a fingernail, but on rare occasions they grow to the size of marbles or even golf balls, gleaming softly in crystal pools. Each one is a record of rhythm and time, formed not by life but by the earth's quiet persistence. Their perfection rivals any gem, yet they are born of nothing more than dripping water and the patience of centuries. When explorers find them resting undisturbed in shallow basins, they are reminded that beauty often hides in silence, forming in places where no human eyes may see it for millennia. Caves, in all their roles, as shelters, tombs, sanctuaries, and natural museums, stand as timeless witnesses to the intertwined story of Earth and humanity. They remind us that our beginnings were humble, that we once huddled in darkness seeking warmth, safety, and meaning. From the bones of extinct giants to the fingerprints of ancient artists, from hidden treasures to glimmering pearls of stone, every layer of cave history speaks of endurance and transformation. To step inside such a space is to leave the modern world behind and enter a realm where time dissolves, where past and present merge in the eternal heartbeat of dripping water. In their silence, caves hold not emptiness but everything: life, death, art, faith, memory, and mystery, all preserved in the unbroken patience of the earth. The early explorers who first stumbled upon these hidden wonders must have felt a sense of awe unlike anything else, as though the earth herself had chosen to reveal a secret trove long kept from human eyes. Beneath layers of rock and time, beauty had grown patiently in silence, one glistening drop at a time. In the stillness of these chambers, the slow alchemy of water and stone had created treasures that seemed almost otherworldly, stalactites and stalagmites rising and falling in eternal motion, each one a sculpture shaped not by human hands but by the steady rhythm of nature itself. Among these marvels stands one of the greatest. In Oman's majestic Ms. Aljan Cave, explorers discovered a stalactite so vast it stretches more than 200 feet from the ceiling, a stone icicle longer than a skyscraper is tall, hanging motionless in the shadows of the earth. To gaze upon it is to feel both wonder and humility, to witness the incomprehensible patience of geological time. Formed through the same delicate process as every other stalactite, droplets seeping through cracks, leaving infinitesimal traces of calcium carbonate that accumulate over tens of thousands of years, it is an edifice of pure endurance. Standing beneath such a creation is to understand fragility and resilience intertwined. One shift, one fracture, and a masterpiece that took millennia to form could vanish in an instant, yet it persists, suspended in balance, a quiet monument to the delicate harmony that shapes our planet's underground wonders. And though we think of caves as natural phenomena, humans have carved their own subterranean realms that rival nature in beauty and scale. In the ancient salt mines of the world, tunnels carved into ancient seabeds have opened into caverns vast enough to rival natural caves. These mines are born from the slow evaporation of prehistoric seas, leaving behind immense beds of crystal salt that now shimmer beneath artificial light. The walls reflect every glimmer, creating dazzling halls of translucent gray and luminous white. In Poland's Wieliczka salt mine, the grandeur of human creativity meets geological splendor. Deep beneath the surface lies a cathedral entirely carved from salt, complete with ornate sculptures, altars, chandeliers, and reliefs that gleam like frozen starlight. The very rock, malleable yet enduring, allows artisans to shape it into figures and columns that catch and scatter light as if the walls themselves are breathing. To walk through these salt caverns is to enter a dreamlike palace of crystal and shadow, a reminder that even the substances we mine for survival can, through patience and artistry, become places of worship and wonder. In colder parts of the world, another kind of cave preserves a different miracle: ice that has endured for thousands of years. These ice caves, hidden deep within glaciers or mountain chambers, are true time capsules. Year after year, as snow accumulates and refreezes, thin layers of ice preserve the record of passing centuries, each one capturing the whispers of the climate from the time it formed. Scientists who drill into this ancient ice uncover bubbles of trapped air that tell stories of ancient atmospheres, what gases filled the sky, what temperatures ruled the earth, and even how volcanic eruptions or droughts left their mark. For explorers, stepping into one of these frozen sanctuaries is like entering the memory of the planet itself. The walls glow with a deep ethereal blue, the result of light refracting through ice so dense that it bends color into something soft and luminous. Each breath feels older than history. Within these chambers, where temperatures never rise enough to melt even a drop, the air hums with the silence of eons. Some caves hold evidence of distant ages, volcanic ash sealed between layers, traces of ancient plant pollen, or even faint signatures of early human smoke. These frozen cathedrals are archives of knowledge, preserving the Earth's story in cold, crystalline silence. Yet while ice grows from water and patience, stone has its own way of rising toward grandeur. In China's Xiamen Dome, a stalagmite climbs from the floor toward the ceiling, soaring more than 200 feet high. It is the tallest known stalagmite on Earth, a colossal column of mineral that seems to defy gravity as it ascends into darkness. Every droplet that has ever fallen on its surface carried only a trace of mineral, and yet through hundreds of thousands of years, those traces accumulated to form a tower of breathtaking scale. It looks less like a cave formation and more like a monument built by some forgotten civilization, a stone skyscraper sculpted by time itself. To stand at its base is to feel small and reverent before the immense patience of the natural world. The thought that such magnificence could grow in utter darkness, drop by drop, is almost beyond comprehension. It reminds us that nature's rhythm cannot be hurried, and that the most enduring wonders are often the slowest to emerge. If the stalagmite is an emblem of vertical might, then deep beneath Mexico lies another marvel of horizontal brilliance, the Cave of the Crystals in Nica, Chihuahua. There, hidden nearly 1,000 feet below the desert, scientists discovered an environment so extreme it feels alien. The cave's chamber glitters with immense selenite crystals, some as long as buses and as heavy as trucks. These translucent giants shimmer with light, reflecting every beam like frozen lightning captured in stone. They were born in a world of unbearable heat and mineral-rich water, a place where for hundreds of thousands of years, temperature and chemistry remained perfectly balanced to allow the crystals to grow undisturbed. Even today, the cave's atmosphere is hostile to human life. Temperatures above 100 degrees Fahrenheit and humidity so dense it feels like breathing through water. Explorers must wear special suits cooled with ice packs and can stay only minutes before retreating. Yet in that brief time, they glimpse one of Earth's most extraordinary wonders, a glittering forest of crystals so vast and luminous it seems like the work of gods rather than geology. The crystals are fragile, their beauty fleeting in the presence of humans, and yet they have survived in peace for hundreds of millennia, a testament to the power of isolation and the creative patience of the planet itself. But the world beneath us does not end with stone or ice or crystal, it stretches onward, interconnected in ways we have only begun to understand. Beneath Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula lies the Sac-Acton system, the largest underwater cave network ever discovered. This sprawling labyrinth of flooded tunnels stretches for hundreds of miles beneath the jungle, linking countless sinkholes known as cenotes. For divers, it is a journey into a realm of light and silence, where shafts of sunlight pierce through the water to illuminate formations that once hung in dry air before being submerged by rising seas. Every dive is both a voyage and an excavation. Fossils of extinct animals rest undisturbed on the floor, ancient pottery from early civilizations lies preserved, and even human bones have been found, sealed in timeless slumber. The clarity of the water creates the illusion of endless space, where gravity seems to vanish and movement becomes effortless. Yet it is also perilous. One wrong turn can mean becoming lost in a maze of identical passages. Still, each expedition expands our understanding of this hidden world and the fragile connections between land, water, and history. Further east, in Vietnam, lies a cave so immense it possesses its own weather. Sun Dun Cave, the largest known cave passage on Earth, defies imagination. Within its colossal chambers, clouds form, mist drifts like breath, and jungles thrive under shafts of sunlight that pierce through collapsed ceilings. Rivers flow, trees grow, and rain occasionally falls, all within the confines of a single cave. Its largest passage could easily fit a Boeing airplane, and its ceilings rise higher than most skyscrapers. To walk inside is to experience something surreal. the sensation of being outdoors while knowing that hundreds of feet of rock separate you from the sky. The interplay of humidity, air currents, and temperature creates a living microclimate, one that sustains its own ecosystem of plants, insects, and animals. Visitors describe it as stepping into another planet, a secret world where Earth dreams beneath itself. Each echo, each wisp of fog, each droplet falling from unseen heights reminds you that this planet is alive, breathing even in its darkest hollows. Sundung is not just a cave, it is a universe within a universe, proof that the line between geology and biology, between stillness and life, is thinner than we imagine. And then there are chambers so vast they defy the boundaries of thought, like the Sarawak chamber in Malaysia. Hidden within the Mulla cave system, this single cavern is so large it could contain an entire city block. Its floor stretches nearly 2,000 feet, and its ceiling rises over 600 feet high. The scale is nearly impossible to grasp. Even the most powerful lights barely touch the walls. To stand within it is to feel the immensity of creation itself, to sense that you have stepped into a space meant for something far greater than humanity. The silence there is immense, almost physical, pressing gently on the ears, reminding you how small sound is in the face of true vastness. Few have seen the chamber's full extent, for its exploration demands skill, patience, and courage. The air inside feels endless, as if one were standing under the night sky rather than beneath the earth. It humbles all who enter, a silent reminder that the planet's greatest wonders often lie in places unseen, waiting in shadow while the world above rushes on in ignorance. The rock here has stood for millions of years, carved not by human ambition but by water, gravity, and time, the three architects of eternity. Together, these caves and caverns tell a story not just of geology, but of patience, endurance, and the mysterious beauty of the Earth's hidden heart. From the delicate drip that builds a stalactite to the monumental chambers large enough to cradle clouds, each formation speaks of time measured not in years or centuries but in breaths of the planet itself. They are cathedrals of nature, archives of history, and mirrors of human awe. Beneath our feet lies a world that glows, breathes, and evolves in silence. A reminder that beauty does not rush, that wonder often waits in darkness, and that even in the deepest places, the earth is alive and dreaming. Caves are among the earth's most mysterious creations, vast, silent, and filled with wonders that defy imagination. In the largest caverns, nature performs miracles that seem impossible. They create their own clouds. Within these colossal underground spaces, humidity, airflow, and temperature combine to mimic the dynamics of the open sky. Warm air rising from hidden rivers meets the cold ceilings of stone, causing vapor to condense into mist. Clouds drift like ghostly veils, rolling through chambers larger than cathedrals, their edges glowing faintly in the beams of explorers' lights. At times, the mist thickens into droplets that fall as delicate rain, nourishing tiny ferns, mosses, or even miniature forests growing beneath ancient skylights where the rock once collapsed. To stand within such a cave is to witness the sky reborn underground, as if the earth itself dreams in vapor and stone. These hidden skies remind us that weather is not confined to the surface. The same elemental forces that shape storms and seasons can also breathe quietly in the planet's depths. But exploring these wonders is not without peril. Among the most dangerous pursuits known to humankind is cave diving, where brave explorers descend into flooded passageways twisting through stone like veins of the planet itself. The water is often crystal clear until a careless movement stirs silt from the floor, turning visibility to darkness in an instant. There, in the cold silence, every heartbeat echoes in the regulator's hiss, and every decision can mean the difference between life and death. A snapped safety line, a failed light, or a wrong turn can prove fatal, for in the labyrinths below there are no easy exits and no second chances. Yet despite the risks, divers return again and again, drawn by the magnetic pull of discovery, the chance to see something no human eye has ever seen before. They map submerged tunnels, uncover fossils preserved for millennia, and sometimes stumble upon lost artifacts of civilizations that once revered these places as sacred. Cave diving is a dialogue between courage and caution, between human determination and the unyielding patience of stone. Beneath the surface, beauty and danger are inseparable, and every breath feels like a pact with the unknown. The rivers that flow through these caves are both enchanting and deadly. Fed by rain that might fall miles away, they can rise without warning, turning tranquil passages into roaring torrents. There are countless stories of explorers caught in the sudden swell, trapped by waters that surged where dry rock had been only moments before. The underground does not forgive carelessness. It is a living, shifting world where nature reigns absolute. Even seasoned divers and cavers have lost their lives to the unpredictable moods of these hidden rivers, swept away into darkness. Such tragedies remind us that the beauty of caves is balanced by their danger. Every exploration carries the weight of risk, every discovery a silent acknowledgement of those who ventured too far and never returned. Yet the pursuit continues, for the human spirit is driven by wonder. With modern equipment, training, and caution, explorers map the unseen arteries of the earth, revealing how water carves mountains from within. They bring back not only data and maps but also stories of awe, humility, and reverence for nature's power. To crawl through a narrow tunnel deep underground is to understand how small we truly are. The act of squeezing through such spaces is called spelunking, derived from the Latin word spelunca, meaning cave. For many, spelunking is more than a physical act, it is a journey into courage itself. The passages can be so tight that one must exhale just to slide forward, the rough stone pressing on every side. In that moment, panic must be tamed by patience. Breathing becomes deliberate, calm, rhythmic. Each inch forward feels like a victory of will. The air smells of minerals and ancient moisture. The silence is so complete it hums in the ears. Then, as if by reward, the tunnel widens into a secret chamber glittering with crystals untouched for ages. It is this mix of fear and revelation that draws spelunkers deeper, the promise that endurance will unveil beauty unseen by others. Spelunking is not about speed or conquest, it is about humility and presence. The explorer moves at the pace of the earth itself, in a slow communion with stone that has endured for millions of years. But even the most careful cavers are sometimes swallowed by the labyrinth. Entire expeditions have gone missing in complex systems that twist endlessly beneath mountains. In these mazes, every passage looks alike, every turn disorients. Some groups have wandered for days before rescue, their lights dimming, their sense of time dissolving into the eternal dark. A single wrong turn can lead to hours of confusion, or a permanent disappearance. That is why seasoned explorers have a golden rule: always know the way out. They mark every path with ropes and symbols, mapping their routes like sailors charting the seas. In the underground, disorientation is not just fear, it is death waiting patiently. The idea of being lost beneath miles of stone, with no sunlight, no sound of wind, and no sense of direction, is both terrifying and awe-inspiring. It reminds us that for all our technology, we remain small creatures in a vast and ancient world. When accidents do happen, the effort to bring explorers back from the depths becomes one of the most complex forms of rescue on Earth. Underground rescues can take days, sometimes weeks. Teams of specialists crawl through flooded tunnels, pump out rising water, or carry stretchers through spaces barely large enough for a single body. Each movement is deliberate, each breath coordinated. The world watched in wonder during the 2018 Thai cave rescue, when a youth soccer team and their coach were trapped deep underground for more than 2 weeks. The operation drew divers and experts from across the globe, united by a single goal: to bring life back from the darkness. It was a triumph not only of skill but of human compassion, proving that courage and cooperation can illuminate even the darkest places. Yet even such victories come with reminders of risk. Underground, a sudden storm can undo hours of effort. Many caves connect directly to rivers on the surface, and heavy rain can transform a safe passage into a deadly trap in minutes. The sound of rising water echoes through the tunnels like a distant roar before it arrives, a signal to flee if escape is still possible. Those who explore limestone regions know this danger well, for the porous rock channels rain swiftly into the depths. The lesson is always the same: the cave is alive, breathing in rhythm with the surface above. The weather that rages in the sky finds its echo underground, and even the calmest cavern can awaken in an instant. For this reason, Every expedition begins with a study of weather, every explorer trained to read the subtle signs of change, the damp smell of fresh rain, the faint murmur of flowing water where silence once reigned. To navigate such environments, explorers must also master darkness itself. True cave darkness is absolute. Without light, it is impossible to see even a finger before one's eyes. In that endless black, the human mind begins to drift. Time stretches and dissolves, and the boundaries of space seem to fade. To move safely, explorers carry multiple lamps, each one a fragile sun guarding against blindness. They train themselves to move by touch, by memory, by the subtle texture of stone under their hands. They tie guide ropes, measure air currents, and practice stillness until the fear of darkness becomes something else: respect. In this way, the cave becomes both a physical and psychological teacher. It strips away the noise of the world, leaving only breath, stone, and thought. In the total absence of light, explorers discover the quiet power of focus and patience. Some describe it as meditation within the earth, a place where all distractions vanish, and only awareness remains. Others speak of hearing the planet itself, the slow drip of water forming new stalactites, the whisper of wind through cracks, the faint echo of their own pulse. Moving through such a world is like stepping outside of time. Every formation tells a story written in minerals, every shadow holds secrets millions of years old. And yet, despite the beauty and the serenity, danger is never far away. The earth can shift, water can rise, oxygen can thin. A cave does not promise safety, it offers experience. Each journey beneath the surface is a conversation with the unknown, a reminder that discovery always carries risk. Still, humanity returns to the depths, again and again, guided by curiosity older than civilization itself. To explore a cave is to reach backward through time, to touch the bones of the planet, and to listen to what the earth has been whispering since before we walked upon it. In the heart of stone and silence, we find reflections of ourselves, fragile, brave, endlessly searching for light. Some cave passages are so narrow that explorers must exhale completely just to move an inch forward, their chests collapsing slightly against the stone as they squeeze into the earth's unyielding veins. In these suffocating corridors, the air feels thick, and every breath becomes a conscious act of patience. The walls press close on every side, rough with mineral ridges that have taken centuries to form. There is no room to turn around, no space to stretch or rest, only the slow, deliberate rhythm of breathing and the gentle push of determination against fear. Panic is the greatest danger here. It can trap a person where they are, freezing body and mind in a space where calmness is the only key to survival. To conquer such claustrophobic passages requires total trust in one's body, a surrender to the slow pulse of progress. Yet for those who venture into these depths, the reward is unmatched. Beyond these suffocating tunnels often lie chambers so vast and dazzling that they seem born of dreams, cathedrals of crystal, pools of pure water glowing faintly under headlamps, or tunnels branching toward unseen worlds. Every inch of the struggle reflects the endless human drive to explore, to move forward into the unknown, breath by breath, towards something greater than fear itself. Cavers call these squeezes, and for them, such trials are not merely obstacles but gateways, tests of patience and courage that guard the secrets of the underground world. Cave mapping is a science of persistence, a discipline that demands decades of patience. Unlike mountains, oceans, or forests, caves cannot be easily surveyed from above. Their maps must be built inch by those willing to crawl, climb, and sometimes dive through darkness. Each new expedition extends the boundaries of the known, as explorers meticulously measure distances, angles, and elevations, recording every twist and chamber. The process is painstaking, but the results are extraordinary. Detailed maps that stretch across walls, tracing a hidden landscape few will ever see in person. Mammoth Cave in the United States and Sac-Acton in Mexico, for example, are still being mapped even after generations of work. Each new discovery expands the labyrinth's known extent, reminding explorers that the underground world resists being fully known. The maps are more than diagrams. They are lifelines for safety, guides for science, and keys for conservation. They reveal how water flows beneath our feet, how chambers connect, and where the earth hides entrances yet unseen. But no map can ever be final. Caves evolve, new passages open, old ones collapse, rivers shift, and minerals grow in silence. To map a cave is to engage in a dialogue with time itself, a patient acknowledgement that even our best efforts will always leave mysteries untouched beneath the surface. Where human bodies cannot go, machines now venture. Robots have become explorers of the forbidden depths, places too tight, too flooded, or too toxic for any living person to survive. Remote-operated vehicles glide through submerged corridors like metal fish, using sonar to map the invisible and cameras to capture the first glimpses of alien-like beauty. Crawling robots equipped with sensors inch along unstable rock, their tiny lights revealing fossils, crystal growths, and new tunnels long hidden from view. In recent years, these robotic pioneers have served as prototypes for space exploration, preparing humanity for missions beyond our planet. Lava tubes on Mars and the Moon are strikingly similar to Earth's caves, potential shelters for future astronauts, protected from cosmic radiation and extreme temperature swings. Sending robots into the darkness of our own planet is not just about exploring caves. It is practice for exploring the universe. These machines extend human curiosity where our lungs cannot go, proving that exploration is not bound by flesh but by imagination. One of the most enchanting traits of many caves is their unchanging climate. Unlike the surface world, which swings wildly between heat and cold, day and night, and the passing of seasons, many caves remain the same temperature all year long. Deep beneath the earth, the air holds steady, often around 50 or 60 degrees Fahrenheit, reflecting the average temperature of the region above. Whether snow blankets the mountains or summer burns the valleys, the cave remains calm, its air cool and timeless. For early humans and animals alike, such stability made caves ideal shelters, safe havens from storms, predators, and the harsh unpredictability of the surface. For scientists today, this constancy is a gift, preserving fossils, ancient tools, and delicate formations in perfect condition for thousands of years. To step into one of these steady environments is to enter a world that feels detached from time. The air is dense but tranquil, holding a faint mineral scent. There is a sense of peace, as if the cave breathes in rhythm with the deep heart of the planet rather than the fleeting moods of weather. Inside, the outside world's chaos fades. There is no wind, no sunlight, no sound of rain, only a serene equilibrium that has existed unchanged for millennia. Yet not all caves are mild or comfortable. Some are colder than the world above, transformed into natural freezers where snow and ice persist long after the outside has thawed. These are cold trap caves, where dense air sinks and stays locked in chambers far below the sun. In these icy underworlds, temperatures can remain below freezing year-round. Explorers find walls lined with frost, icicles forming in the dark, and pools solidified into shimmering mirrors. Archaeologists have uncovered artifacts preserved perfectly for centuries in such frozen caves. Tools, bones, even traces of clothing untouched by decay. To ancient people, these places must have seemed sacred or cursed, eternal wells of cold in a living world. Even today, stepping into one feels like entering another season, another time. The air bites at the skin, the walls gleam faintly, and each breath feels sharper, clearer. Animals once sought refuge here from the heat of summer, and explorers still marvel at how life adapts to the extremes, with insects and microbes thriving in frost where none should survive. But cold caves also demand respect. Ice makes footing treacherous, and sudden meltwater can flood passages unexpectedly. They are beautiful, but like all of nature's marvels, they hold danger within their grace. At the opposite extreme, there exist caves of unbearable heat, environments so oppressive that merely stepping inside feels like walking into a furnace. In geothermal regions or near volcanic fields, some caves register temperatures well above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, paired with suffocating humidity. The air here is thick, heavy, and moist, condensing instantly on skin and clothing. Each breath feels labored, every movement slow. Mexico's Cave of the Crystals is one of the most extreme examples, so hot and humid that explorers can remain inside for only a few minutes without protective cooling suits. Yet within that hellish environment lie some of the most magnificent formations ever found, giant selenite crystals, gleaming like frozen lightning, each one as long as a house and weighing tons. These luminous structures took hundreds of thousands of years to form, growing silently in the mineral-rich heat. Standing among them feels like standing inside the heart of the earth, surrounded by the bones of its creation. Hot caves remind us that the underground world is not a uniform realm of stillness. It is alive with energy, pressure, and the pulse of geological fire. Beneath the cool comfort of most caverns lies another side of nature, one born of molten heat and relentless change. Air, too, plays its mysterious role underground. Though caves are often imagined as silent, in truth they are alive with subtle motion. Changes in air pressure between chambers and the surface cause invisible currents to drift through the dark. These movements of air can create sounds so strange that ancient people believed they were the whispers of spirits, or the breath of gods. In some passages, the wind moans softly, a low hum that vibrates in the stone. Elsewhere it hisses or sighs through tight crevices, producing an eerie song that never seems to end. These breathing caves exhale and inhale as the outside air changes, as if the earth itself is alive. Scientists study these breezes to understand how chambers connect, using temperature and pressure to trace hidden tunnels that even the most daring explorers cannot yet reach. The airflow also shapes the cave's inner world, regulating temperature, humidity, and even the growth of delicate formations. To stand in a narrow corridor and feel unseen air brush past your face is to sense the cave's living presence. Its whispers are the language of stone and air, carrying across the silence of centuries. In those faint murmurs, one hears the patience of geological time itself. And when sound breaks the silence, it lingers longer than in any other place on Earth. Large caves possess acoustics that seem almost supernatural. In vast caverns, a single clap of the hands can echo for several seconds, bouncing and overlapping until it becomes a haunting chorus. A shout may transform into a layered harmony as it reflects from every wall, filling the darkness with invisible music. Ancient civilizations, sensing the power of these echoes, often held rituals or ceremonies within such chambers, believing the multiplied voices were the responses of deities or ancestors. In more recent times, musicians and sound artists have carried instruments into these spaces to record the ethereal tones that only stone can produce. The shape, size, and mineral texture of each chamber influence the sound in unique ways, turning some caves into natural amphitheaters. A single note played on a flute might travel outward, dissolve, and return as something entirely transformed, a ghostly melody of the underground. The experience is mesmerizing. To make a sound and hear it live on, weaving through invisible corridors before returning in fading waves, as if the cave itself were answering back. Echoes in these caverns are not just sound, they are a connection between the human voice and the age-old stillness of the earth. They remind us that every vibration, no matter how brief, leaves its mark in the air and in memory. To sit in such a chamber, light dimmed, and listen as a drop of water falls, resonates, and fades is to feel time stretch outward in all directions. Caves magnify the smallest sounds, a single footstep, a sigh, even the beat of a heart, and return them as reminders of existence. In their depths, one becomes aware of sound not as noise, but as presence. Every echo is both a reply and a reflection, carrying across millennia of silence. It is here, in this timeless dialogue between human curiosity and the voice of stone, that we glimpse what it truly means to explore, to reach beyond fear, beyond limitation, and listen to the ancient world as it speaks back to us in whispers, breaths, and endless reverberations of wonder. Caves are not only visual wonders but also living, breathing instruments of the earth, resonating softly with the unseen rhythms of stone, air, and water. Within them, the walls can seem to sweat, covered with glistening beads of condensation that gather, shimmer, and then slide slowly downward in tiny rivulets. This gentle sweating is the product of moisture drawn from the humid cave air as it touches the cooler rock surfaces, and in some caverns, it happens so abundantly that the very walls seem to weep. The droplets sparkle under the faint beam of a headlamp, painting the darkness with points of silver light. These droplets are not lifeless. They sustain small ecosystems, feeding colonies of microscopic life, mosses, and fungi that depend entirely on the slow breathing of the cave. Over time, the same moisture builds delicate formations of stone, flowstones, draperies, and rippling curtains of calcite that hang like frozen waterfalls. To early explorers, walls that gleamed and trickled must have seemed alive, as if the cave itself possessed a pulse, inhaling and exhaling through the endless dialogue of rock and water. This quiet exchange is what makes caves feel eternal yet alive, forever shifting, always listening, their movements too subtle for the human eye to see but felt in the cool breath of air that passes through narrow chambers. Some caverns smell of sulfur, sharp and heavy, reminding those who enter that the forces shaping these hollows are both ancient and chemical. Not every cave greets you with the clean scent of stone and air. In some, particularly those sculpted by sulfuric processes, a sour, egg-like odor fills the space, a byproduct of hydrogen sulfide gas rising invisibly from the Earth's hidden veins. Though unpleasant, this smell is a signature of creation, a sign of the same chemistry that carved monumental chambers like those of Carlsbad Caverns, where sulfuric acid once ate through limestone to open vast, echoing cathedrals below the desert. Even today, that faint acrid tang lingers like a whisper of the planet's inner fire. Within such places, microbes thrive on what would poison us, feeding on sulfur compounds in ecosystems independent of sunlight. In their strange, dark world, energy is drawn not from the sky but from the Earth's chemical heart, where life writes its story in elements instead of light. For explorers, the smell is both warning and wonder, a reminder that the air they breathe carries the memory of volcanic ages, of reactions still unfolding in slow, unseen cycles. In other places, caves are made of ice, and here the language of light changes entirely. When sunlight filters through thick walls of frozen crystal, the world inside transforms into a radiant cathedral of blue. Ice absorbs the longer wavelengths of light, the reds and yellows, and scatters back the shorter, cooler blues. The result is a surreal glow, pure and dreamlike, turning solid walls into luminous sapphire. To stand in such a place is to feel you've stepped into another realm, a palace sculpted by cold and silence, where ceilings gleam like jewels and every sound is softened by the frost. The beauty is fragile, a gift of balance and season, for as the ice shifts, melts, or breaks, the brilliance vanishes. Ice caves are fleeting wonders, formed by glaciers or volcanoes, and to see one glowing from within is to glimpse the earth in its most delicate form, a reminder that even frozen things move, breathe, and eventually fade. In contrast, other caves glow green with unexpected life. Near entrances or under skylights where faint sunlight reaches, moisture and warmth allow algae to take hold, forming living mats that shimmer on stone and water. Under a lantern's glow, they appear almost magical, a soft, luminescent green radiance emerging from the rock itself. Early travelers may have thought these glows supernatural, unaware that tiny photosynthetic organisms were quietly transforming minerals and light into life. These humble algae add oxygen and organic matter to environments normally starved of sunlight, creating miniature oases in the darkness. Their delicate glow is a symbol of persistence, life stretching toward even the faintest hint of light, refusing to surrender to shadow. Beneath the stone, water flows with astonishing purity. Underground rivers and pools, filtered through endless layers of rock, emerge crystal clear, so clean they appear invisible. Explorers have stepped unknowingly into what seemed to be solid ground, deceived by water so transparent it erased the boundary between air and liquid. These silent pools reflect the ceilings perfectly, creating mirrored worlds beneath the real one, doubling the beauty and confusion of the space. Within them lie preserved minerals, fossils, and formations untouched for centuries. To peer into such water is to look into the Earth's mirror, where time itself feels suspended. These subterranean waters nurture fragile ecosystems, blind fish, tiny crustaceans, and colonies of microbes found nowhere else on Earth. They exist in perfect equilibrium, shaped by the patient filtering of time. Gazing into a pool that has waited undisturbed for millennia evokes awe. It is not just water, but memory, distilled through stone drop by drop, held in silence until discovery. Despite centuries of exploration, countless caves remain unseen. Remote mountain ranges, tangled jungles, and icy regions still hide entrances no one has found. Even in known cave systems, long passages stretch beyond the limits of human reach, tunnels too narrow, too flooded, or too fragile to traverse. Each year, explorers push the boundaries a little further, mapping new chambers, connecting unseen networks, and sometimes stumbling upon entirely new systems. The realization that vast worlds exist beneath our feet, unmapped and unmeasured, is humbling. In an era when satellites have charted the surface of the planet, caves stand as the last true wildernesses, places where mystery still breathes freely. They remind us that not everything can be captured by images or data. Some realms remain loyal to silence, belonging only to patience, curiosity, and courage. Beneath familiar ground lies an endless labyrinth of time and matter, waiting for the faint beam of a headlamp to bring its ancient stories back into sight. Many caves are also archives of prehistory, holding fossils of creatures that once swam in ancient seas. Limestone caves in particular reveal the oceanic past of the continents, their walls filled with imprints of shells, coral, and tiny marine organisms fossilized in stone. Limestone itself was born from the slow compression of seabeds, layers of shells and coral skeletons pressed together over millions of years until transformed into solid rock. When water later carved into this stone to form caves, it also revealed windows into those ancient seas. To walk through such a cave is to tread upon the floor of a vanished ocean, surrounded by the preserved remains of creatures that once drifted through warm, shallow waters. Every fossil tells a fragment of Earth's history, the transformation of ocean into mountain, the movement of continents, the eternity of cycles. These embedded relics are silent but eloquent, reminders of how life endures even as worlds change around it. Among the most remarkable formations in caves are stalagmites, rising from the ground like petrified flames. They are not merely beautiful, they are records of time. Each layer of calcite deposited by dripping mineral water holds chemical traces of the world above, its rainfall, temperature, and atmosphere. Scientists can read these mineral archives like pages of an ancient diary, reconstructing the story of climate across hundreds of thousands of years. Within them lie secrets of drought and flood, of ice ages and monsoons, all preserved in patient symmetry. Stalagmites prove that stone, though seemingly lifeless, listens and remembers. They speak without words, showing us how the earth breathes and changes. For humanity, their lessons are profound. The future of our climate can be glimpsed by studying the whispers of the past, encoded in these mineral spines that grew one drop at a time through ages of silence. And then there are the caves that hold art, the painted memories of our ancestors. On walls deep within the earth, ancient humans painted animals, hands, and symbols in ochre and charcoal, capturing moments of life long before written language existed. These images depict creatures that have since vanished: the woolly rhinoceros, the steppe bison, the great mammoth, rendered with astonishing accuracy. From their careful lines, we learn not only about extinct species but also about the keen observation and artistry of early humans. These painters were scientists of their own kind, recording the life that surrounded them. Some of their works even show motion: herds running, predators chasing, moments of story frozen for tens of thousands of years. These cave paintings are more than decoration. They are records of memory, biology, and spirit, the earliest attempt to preserve knowledge against time. To stand before them is to meet the minds of those who came before, to share the same darkness, and to see through their eyes the living world that once was. In some caverns, time has preserved not paintings but footsteps. In the soft mud of ancient floors, the impressions of bare feet remain, left by humans who walked these corridors tens of thousands of years ago. The prints are delicate yet enduring, showing adults and children side by side, carrying torches through the dark. Some paths suggest movement, walking, running, even dancing, while others hint at ritual or exploration. To see them is to feel a sudden connection across time, to imagine the warmth of the torches, the sound of footsteps, the laughter or fear that echoed faintly in the chambers. These tracks remind us that caves were not only shelters or sacred places, but living spaces where humanity's curiosity met the unknown. Each footprint is a story, a trace of courage and wonder left in the earth's heart. Taken together, caves are not simply hollows carved into stone. They are living systems, time capsules, laboratories, and sanctuaries. Their silence holds the voices of water, air, fire, and life itself. Inside, every drop that falls, every shimmer of condensation, every trace of odor or light is a small act in the endless performance of geology and biology. The cave is both ancient and ever new, its features sculpted and erased again and again by nature's patient hands. To wander within one is to experience the planet in its purest form, slow, deliberate, powerful beyond comprehension. Whether shimmering with ice, smelling of sulfur, glowing with algae, or echoing with the memory of human footsteps, each cave tells the same quiet truth, that the earth is alive beneath our feet, speaking in a language of stone and silence. It teaches patience, resilience, and the beauty of hidden worlds, reminding us that even in the deepest darkness, there is motion, meaning, and life. To listen to a cave is to hear time itself breathing, a soundless rhythm that connects past to present, water to rock, and human to planet in one continuous, eternal conversation. To see these ancient footprints preserved in the depths of a cave is to feel a shiver of connection to humanity itself. They are not art, nor tools, but the direct trace of living feet upon the earth, marks of presence left by those who walked long before memory began. Protected for millennia from wind, water, and sunlight, these impressions endure as some of the oldest human footprints ever found, fragile yet eternal reminders that someone once paused here, perhaps glancing back before stepping onward into darkness. Within such stillness, caves transform into time machines, allowing us to walk step by step in the paths of our ancestors across unimaginable spans of history. Every print whispers a story, the weight of survival, the rhythm of movement, the persistence of life itself. Some caverns even hold inscriptions from ancient travelers, messages carved by hands that trembled with faith, fatigue, or hope. Beyond paintings and footprints, caves preserve words, etchings of identity that outlast flesh and bone. Across the world, monks, wanderers, and pilgrims once carved their names into stone, sometimes adding dates or prayers, sometimes leaving only the silent declaration of their being. In Roman times, soldiers resting in dark chambers left graffiti as casual as campfire chatter, while in medieval Europe, pilgrims etched crosses and invocations, trusting that their marks would reach heaven through stone. These inscriptions are time bridges, carrying the personal presence of individuals across centuries. To stand before a carved name from 1,000 years ago is to feel the immediacy of history, the certainty that someone stood in this same hollow of earth, holding a chisel, breathing in dust, and deciding to leave a trace of themselves for no one and everyone. Thus, caves serve as libraries not only of geology but of human expression, preserving the unspoken voices that would otherwise have vanished into silence. In the same subterranean silence, rivers too carve their own stories. Beneath karst landscapes, underground rivers behave unpredictably, defying surface logic. A stream that flows brightly for miles may vanish without warning, swallowed whole by the earth, leaving behind only a dry scar of riverbed. Yet below, the water continues its unseen journey, winding through labyrinths of limestone and re-emerging far away, sometimes days or weeks later. For ancient people, these disappearances must have seemed supernatural, as though the earth itself were alive, drinking the waters of the world. Myths arose of magical rivers, hungry spirits, and gates to other realms. Today, science explains these vanishings as the result of soluble rock, porous limestone sculpted by time and flow, but even with such knowledge the sight of a river dissolving into stone feels otherworldly. Water, like time, moves invisibly, shaping and nourishing worlds beneath our feet through paths hidden from the living eye. These shifting underground rivers reveal the secret plumbing of the planet, connecting surface and depth in intricate ways. Some cave systems stretch so vast that they link entire valleys or even regions, their tunnels piercing through mountains and under forests, carrying the breath of the land from one end to another. Explorers who follow these paths may walk for miles beneath solid ground, entering through one valley and emerging in another, as though stepping through a portal. To early humans, such hidden connections must have felt miraculous, routes of secrecy and wonder, sanctuaries from danger, and gateways between worlds. For animals, these networks became invisible highways guiding bats, fish, insects, and blind salamanders. Scientists now trace these channels to map how water travels beneath us, feeding aquifers and shaping the landscapes we live upon. To journey through such a passage is to walk the veins of Earth itself, witnessing firsthand how stone and water intertwine to sustain life. The deeper one descends, the more one feels the planet as a living organism, pulsing quietly with the slow breath of centuries. And still, even in this modern age of satellites and scanners, there are countless caves waiting to be found. Every year, explorers uncover new worlds, hidden entrances shrouded by jungle vines, frozen tunnels beneath glaciers, and shafts plunging into mountainsides. Some discoveries extend known networks by miles, while others open into chambers untouched since the dawn of time. Scientists estimate that most of the world's caves remain undiscovered, meaning there are still caverns filled with crystals, rivers, fossils, or unknown life forms that no human eye has ever seen. The thought humbles and excites. Entire landscapes exist beneath us, unseen yet alive. For those who explore, this mystery is an irresistible call. They crawl through narrow fissures, dive into flooded tunnels, and descend into darkness not merely to map but to understand. For the rest of us, these discoveries are reminders that wonder endures, that even on a planet we claim to know, there remain secrets untouched by light, patiently waiting for curiosity to find them. Within these hidden ecosystems, life has found extraordinary ways to thrive. Among the most vital forces sustaining underground life is something as simple as bat guano. Bats that roost in caves bring with them nutrients gathered from the skies above, their droppings forming the foundation of entire subterranean ecosystems. In the total absence of sunlight, where no green leaf grows, guano provides the essential nutrients for fungi, bacteria, insects, and countless microscopic organisms. From these humble beginnings, a web of life unfolds. Insects feed on the guano, spiders hunt the insects, salamanders feed on both, and larger predators continue the cycle. Guano not only nourishes life but also alters the very chemistry of the cave, enriching it with nitrogen and phosphorus that can change the formation of minerals and crystals. Humans too have valued this substance, mining it for centuries as fertilizer, proof that what begins in darkness can feed the light above. To many, it seems an unlikely treasure, but guano is life itself for the underground, a steady gift from winged visitors who bridge two worlds, feeding under the moon and returning to fertilize the earth below. Without it, many caves would lie silent and sterile. With it, they teem with unseen vitality. Yet caves are not merely biological sanctuaries. They are also mythic thresholds, places where imagination meets the unknown. Across countless cultures, caves have been seen as entrances to the underworld, gateways between life and death. The Greeks believed that the gaping mouth of a cavern could lead to Hades. In Mesoamerican cosmology, caves represented portals to the sacred underworld, the womb of the earth where life and death converged. Their silence, depth, and eternal darkness naturally stirred awe and fear. To enter a cave was to approach the edge of existence, to sense the invisible forces that govern creation. These myths were not mere superstition but profound expressions of human reverence for the mysteries of nature. Even today, stepping into a vast cavern can feel like crossing into another dimension, one untouched by sunlight or time. Modern science may explain their formation in terms of erosion, minerals, and pressure, but no explanation can fully quiet the feeling that such places are sacred. The resonance of myth lingers. We still speak softly inside caves, as though unwilling to disturb their ancient sleep. To walk within is to move between worlds, suspended between the realm of the living and something deeper, quieter, and eternal. In many traditions, caves were not only entrances to the underworld but homes of gods themselves. Across the Himalayas, hermits sought spiritual awakening in mountain caverns believed to be sanctuaries of divine presence. In the jungles of Central America, people entered caves to offer gifts to gods of rain and fertility, hoping their prayers would echo upward to the heavens. The darkness was not seen as emptiness but as sacred presence, the dwelling of creation itself. Some saw caves as the womb of the earth, a place of birth and renewal where gods and humans alike first emerged into the world. Archaeological discoveries support these beliefs. Altars, carvings, and ritual objects have been found deep underground, far beyond the reach of ordinary habitation. These were not shelters but sanctuaries, cathedrals carved not by hand but by nature, filled with the reverence of those who ventured into the dark to touch the divine. In these quiet chambers, one can still sense the weight of prayer, the faint echo of ritual chants lost to time. The cave becomes both tomb and temple, a place of death and rebirth, silence and revelation. Every drip of water, every shimmer of mineral wall feels like a heartbeat of the planet. Even now, when we bring electric lights and cameras into these spaces, something ancient stirs within us, something that recognizes the sacred in stone. To explore a cave is to explore the story of Earth and the memory of humankind intertwined, to feel, in every echo, the long continuity between those who came before and those who will follow. And as we stand in the cool breath of the underground, surrounded by the quiet persistence of stone, we are reminded that not all stories are written in ink or on parchment. Some are etched in footprints, carved in rock, or carried by rivers that vanish into the earth, only to return, transformed and unseen, as if to whisper that the world's greatest mysteries lie not above us, but below, where time itself moves slowly and the silence speaks forever. Folk tales across Europe, Asia, and the Americas have long whispered of spirits, demons, or wandering souls moving through subterranean halls where light never reaches. The echoes of dripping water became the voices of the dead, the chill of unseen drafts became ghostly breaths, and the cries of animals were transformed into warnings of restless presences. For villagers living near the dark mouths of caves, these unexplored depths were fertile ground for imagination. Stories of haunted caverns and cursed grottos spread from fireside to fireside, blending fear and wonder into moral lessons for the living. They served not only to entertain but to warn, keeping children, wanderers, and treasure seekers from venturing into places where danger waited in silence. Sudden drops, floods, poisonous air, or suffocating darkness. Even today, when flashlights pierce what once terrified the human mind, that ancient unease lingers. The shadows move with our breath, and the silence feels alive, as though unseen watchers still linger in the stone. Such tales, though born from fear, reveal something deeper: humanity's timeless respect for the unknown and its power. They remind us that caves have always been thresholds where imagination thrives, where the boundaries between natural and supernatural blur in the depths of darkness. And so, wherever people lived near such gaping mouths of the earth, legends of hidden wealth grew beside those of spirits. Treasure stories became inseparable from the mystery of caves. Tales of pirate gold buried beyond the reach of daylight, of lost relics hidden from conquerors, of kings' riches sealed away during invasion. Their secrecy, permanence, and inaccessibility made caves ideal hiding places. Rebels concealed weapons there, hermits hid sacred relics, monarchs stowed their jewels and crowns behind curtains of stone. Over time, imagination added dragons, serpents, and guardians of gold, turning these natural vaults into mythic hoards. Yet even amidst the fantasy, grains of truth endure. Real treasures have been discovered underground: ancient coins, jewelry, scrolls, and relics. The Dead Sea Scrolls, for instance, lay hidden for millennia in desert caves, untouched by sun or storm. In other parts of the world, hoards of Roman coins and Bronze Age ornaments have been unearthed in forgotten caverns. These discoveries keep the legends alive, feeding the human fascination with secret riches. Whether the treasure is gold or knowledge, real or imagined, the idea of something valuable waiting in the dark continues to shimmer in the human mind. A cave becomes not only a geological wonder but a chest of secrets sealed by time. But caves were not always feared or coveted for material wealth. Many were revered as spiritual sanctuaries. Across countless cultures, shamans sought out caverns for rituals, visions, and journeys into altered states of consciousness. They saw these places as living gateways between worlds, thresholds where the material and immaterial touched. The isolation, silence, and complete absence of light allowed the mind to turn inward, dissolving the barriers between waking life and dream. Within such darkness, illuminated only by fire or flickering torches, the echo of chanting or drumming would expand and return, magnified by the stone, until it felt like a dialogue with invisible spirits. Some shamans painted walls with figures and symbols, believing that the rock itself held the power to communicate with gods or ancestors. Deep inside caverns, archaeologists have discovered offerings of bones, pigments, and pottery, evidence of ceremonies held far from daylight. These artifacts suggest that shamans entered these places not merely to hide but to transcend, to cross the invisible border between seen and unseen worlds. In that timeless silence, they sought healing, prophecy, and wisdom. To imagine those rituals, the rhythmic drumbeats, the smell of smoke, the echoes of chant fading into endless stone, is to glimpse humanity's earliest spirituality, rooted in reverence for the earth's hidden heart. Centuries later, in medieval times, the relationship between humankind and the cave took a different yet equally spiritual form. Hermits, monks, and seekers of solitude retreated into caves to live lives of prayer and austerity. For them, the silence of stone was not a symbol of fear but of peace. Within these cold, damp chambers, they carved small chapels, painted icons, and etched crosses on the walls. Pilgrims sought them out, believing these recluses had gained divine wisdom through isolation. Around certain hermitages, such as those built into the cliffs of Cappadocia or the limestone valleys of Europe, small communities grew, nourished by the belief that holiness could flourish in silence. The cave's steady temperature, its protection from storm and war, and its distance from worldly noise made it an ideal dwelling for those seeking to commune only with God. Legends tell of saints who spent decades in darkness, emerging radiant with insight and humility. Even today, when one steps into the preserved cells of such hermits, the air feels thick with the weight of devotion, the echo of whispered prayers still clinging to the walls. These stories show that caves were more than geological shelters. They were vessels of faith, silent witnesses to the endurance of the human spirit. And yet, not only the humble and the holy found refuge underground. History records that kings and warriors, too, turned to caves in times of peril. During wars and invasions, they became last sanctuaries, fortresses carved not by human hands but by the earth itself. In the Bible, King David is said to have hidden in the cave of Adullam while fleeing from Saul. Across Asia and Europe, rulers and rebels alike used mountain caverns as secret refuges, hiding from enemies while plotting their return. Caves offered safety, concealment, and natural defense, cool air, narrow entrances, and stone walls stronger than any castle. Archaeologists have found weapons, armor, and provisions left behind in these shelters, evidence of leaders clinging to survival beneath the ground. To imagine a king crouching in darkness, listening for the sound of pursuit above, is to realize how thin the line between power and vulnerability has always been. These hidden fortresses shaped history quietly. Battles were delayed or won because the earth itself offered sanctuary. The cave, in such times, was both womb and tomb, a cradle for endurance and a refuge for rebirth. The symbolic power of caves extends far beyond history into the deepest layers of human storytelling. In myth and literature, the descent into a cave often marks a journey of transformation. From ancient epics to modern fantasy, heroes enter darkness to confront trials and emerge changed. In Greek mythology, Orpheus descended into the underworld through a cavern to reclaim Eurydice, defying death itself. In Dante's Inferno, the poet's journey into hell begins with a descent into shadowed passages, where moral and spiritual understanding are tested. Later storytellers continued the tradition. From medieval romances to modern adventure tales, the motif persists. The hero enters the earth to seek truth, face fear, or reclaim light. Even in contemporary films and novels, caves remain stages for revelation, danger, or rebirth. The symbolism is universal. The act of descending mirrors the inward journey of the soul. Emerging again into daylight represents renewal, wisdom, or victory. This recurring imagery proves how deeply caves resonate in the collective imagination. They are not merely places of stone but archetypes, mirrors of the human psyche, where darkness becomes a teacher and silence a guide. Across cultures, the cave has always embodied duality, both womb and tomb, safety and terror, concealment and revelation. Indigenous peoples regarded caves as sacred birthplaces of humanity, or as dwellings of spirits who shaped the land. The Greeks and Romans saw them as divine thresholds, homes of nymphs, oracles, and gods. In Asia, entire temples were carved directly into cliff faces, transforming natural caverns into monumental shrines filled with sculpture and prayer. Even in modern symbolism, the cave remains a metaphor for hidden truth, for that which must be entered and faced before understanding can emerge. Part of this enduring fascination lies in the very nature of caves. They are spaces beyond immediate sight, where daylight ends and imagination begins. Every culture has filled that darkness with meaning. Some saw safety, others saw danger. Some saw the womb of creation, others the mouth of the underworld. They represent what we cannot see, both literally as unexplored realms and spiritually as the unknown chambers within ourselves. This universality across myth, religion, and art proves that caves are not merely geological accidents but expressions of our deepest human curiosity, reflections of the eternal tension between fear and wonder. And though the ancient cave traditions have faded in many parts of the world, some still endure. Pilgrims continue to journey into sacred caverns seeking blessings, purification, or healing. In India, thousands trek each year to the Amarnath cave, where a naturally forming ice lingam is worshipped as a symbol of Lord Shiva, an image of the divine emerging directly from the heart of nature. In Greece, holy grottos are still visited for their healing springs and protective spirits. Across Latin America, pilgrims bring candles and offerings into caves dedicated to saints or local deities, blending Christianity with indigenous beliefs. These journeys, often made on foot and in silence, echo the steps of countless generations before. Within those echoing chambers, prayers rise and fall like the rhythm of the earth's own breath. The continuity of such traditions shows how caves remain living temples, ancient yet alive, holding human devotion in their stone embrace. To walk into any cave, whether sacred or silent, is to feel a sensation that transcends explanation. The air cools and thickens, the sounds of the outside world fade. The beam of a torch slices through the dark, revealing shapes that seem to move, shadows that shift with breath. In that moment, every visitor becomes both explorer and pilgrim. The fear that once birthed legends now transforms into reverence, for one realizes that these hollows are not voids but vessels of history, spirit, and memory. They hold within their depths the stories of shamans and saints, of kings and wanderers, of creatures and spirits imagined and real. Each layer of stone records an age, each echo carries a fragment of human awe. In their silence, caves mirror the inner landscape of the mind, mysterious, deep, filled with hidden passageways and sudden revelations. And just as the explorers of old emerged from their journeys bearing stories to share, so too do we emerge from the cave of the earth with renewed awareness of our connection to it. For in every darkness there is life, and in every silence there is meaning, and it is in those quiet depths, beneath the weight of time and stone, that humanity continues to find both fear and faith intertwined. The act of journeying into darkness while carrying light has never lost its ancient power. For thousands of years, people have descended into caves not only to explore the unknown but to connect with something sacred and eternal, believing that within those silent chambers lay a bridge between the fragile human soul and the vast, timeless spirit of the earth. Pilgrims who venture into the depths often emerge transformed, their footsteps echoing with reverence, their hearts touched by something they cannot quite name but deeply feel. These ancient rituals of descent remind us that caves are not merely geological structures carved by water and time, nor relics preserved for curious historians. They are living spiritual landscapes, breathing in rhythm with the world above, places where all faith and mystery converge. Even today, they inspire reverence and reflection, connecting us to ancient traditions of honoring the mysterious depths of the earth. Yet beyond myth and spirit, caves hold within them an even grander purpose. They are archives of the planet's memory, repositories of stories written not in words but in stone, minerals, and the patient drip of water. Scientists who study caves know that each stalactite and stalagmite is a natural historian. Their layers preserve chemical traces of rainfall and temperature stretching back hundreds of thousands of years, offering insights into the climate history of our planet. In these glistening stone pillars lie invisible records of droughts and floods, of shifting atmospheres and lost ages, all stored in perfect silence. Cave sediments, too, contain pollen, dust, and fossil fragments, microscopic snapshots of life long vanished. Every layer of sediment is like a page in Earth's long autobiography, showing how landscapes evolved and how the delicate balance of life responded. These natural archives are unlike any found on the surface. Shielded from erosion, fire, and weather, they endure for millennia, unaltered and pure. To walk through a cave with scientific eyes is to stroll through time itself, where each crystal glint is a fragment of the Earth's long dream, and each echo a whisper from ages before human memory began. Caves remind us that even in stillness, the world is alive with change, that the planet's history is not written in books but layered in stone, slow, steady, and enduring. Yet caves hold more than history, they hold life itself, strange and astonishing. Hidden in their shadows are microbial worlds that rewrite the boundaries of biology. Many of these tiny organisms live without sunlight, feeding instead on minerals or chemical reactions, existing where no plant could survive. They are proof that life can adapt to the most unlikely conditions, an idea that stretches our imagination toward the stars. For scientists searching for life on Mars or other planets, Earth's caves are models of possibility. The lava tubes of Mars, for instance, could provide the same kind of protection and resources that caves offer here: shelter from radiation, temperature extremes, and the void of the surface. By studying Earth's cave microbes, we begin to imagine what Martian life might look like: small, resilient, clinging to rock, surviving in silence. These microbial pioneers show us that life's essence is not fragile but fiercely adaptable. Each discovery of a new subterranean organism expands our understanding of what is possible, not just beneath our own feet, but across the cosmos. The humble bacteria glimmering on a cave wall might one day help us recognize alien life elsewhere, connecting the deepest shadows of Earth with the glowing stars beyond. But caves are not only analogs for other worlds, they are laboratories for preparing to reach them. Their total darkness, confined spaces, and humidity mimic the environments astronauts may encounter beneath the surfaces of distant moons or planets. Space agencies use caves as natural training grounds, sending astronauts underground for days or weeks to simulate isolation, teamwork, and endurance in alien-like settings. In these exercises, explorers experience what it feels like to live separated from sunlight and sky, guided only by headlamps and trust. The weight of stone above them feels both protective and immense, a quiet mirror of what it might feel like to dwell beneath extraterrestrial rock. This practice prepares humanity for the day when exploration extends far beyond our home world. Caves, in this sense, are not only relics of our beginnings but blueprints for our future, places where the human spirit learns resilience and adaptability. Even robots train in these depths, crawling, rolling, or flying through lava tubes to test navigation, laser mapping, and autonomous movement in rough, uncharted terrain. Each experiment is a rehearsal for future missions on the Moon or Mars, where machines will precede us into places we cannot yet go. These tests in Earth's caves connect geology with technology, turning ancient stone corridors into futuristic classrooms. What was once home to early humans with flickering torches now hosts robots with laser scanners and sensors, carrying our collective curiosity into the unknown. The connection between humanity and caves has always been about shelter, and that bond may extend into space itself. Lava tubes on the Moon could one day serve as natural bases for explorers, shielding them from radiation, meteoroids, and harsh temperature swings. Thick layers of rock would offer protection that no human-built structure could easily match. Scientists dream of establishing habitats inside these lunar caverns, where temperatures remain steady and essential resources like frozen water may lie within reach. In this vision, caves become homes once again, not for our ancestors this time, but for our descendants among the stars. The same instinct that led prehistoric humans into caves for warmth and safety may guide spacefarers into the embrace of lunar stone, where they might one day gaze at Earth rising in the black sky. It is a poetic continuation of an ancient story, the story of seeking refuge in darkness to find life and light anew. Yet caves do not only hold meaning for explorers or scientists. They are treasure troves of natural chemistry, producing minerals and biological compounds with extraordinary potential. minerals such as gypsum, calcite, and epsomite have long been used in traditional healing, ground into powders, dissolved in water, or kept as sacred stones believed to hold curative power. Even today, researchers study the unique crystal structures found in caves to design new synthetic materials and medicines. Within these confined and stable environments, chemical reactions occur that are rare or impossible elsewhere, producing combinations that could inspire medical innovation. The idea of a cave as a hidden pharmacy is astonishing, yet entirely true. Among the most promising discoveries are cave-dwelling bacteria that produce novel antibiotics. Cut off from the surface for millions of years, these microbes evolved powerful defenses against competitors, generating unique chemical compounds unknown to modern science. Some of these compounds have shown potential against bacteria that resist existing drugs, offering hope against one of the greatest medical crises of our age: antibiotic resistance. The solution to future pandemics may well lie deep underground, waiting quietly in the DNA of microbes that thrive in eternal night. In this way, caves stand as laboratories of nature, where survival itself becomes an art of invention and adaptation. In the depths, beyond the reach of light, hidden lakes shimmer in eternal calm, sealed from the surface for thousands of years. Within these isolated pools live creatures found nowhere else on Earth: blind fish, translucent crustaceans, and microscopic organisms that have evolved entirely apart from the rest of the world. Their genes tell stories of resilience and adaptation, of life persisting in silence and solitude. Scientists study these sealed ecosystems to understand evolution in isolation, how species change when the pressures of sunlight and competition fade away. Some of these creatures may represent ancient lineages unchanged for vast stretches of time, living fossils whose existence connects us to the earliest moments of life on Earth. To peer into such waters is to witness both fragility and strength intertwined, the quiet determination of life that endures even in the most remote corners of existence. The study of caves is entering a new era, too. Mapping these underground worlds has always been slow, dangerous work, but modern technology is transforming exploration into something wondrous. Advanced laser scanners, drones, and autonomous flying devices can now capture complete three-dimensional models of entire cave systems with astonishing precision. Every twist, every stalactite, every drop-shaped formation can be digitally preserved in perfect detail. These virtual maps allow scientists and the public alike to explore caves safely from afar, protecting fragile ecosystems from human interference while opening their beauty to the world. Through such digital archives, caves become eternal, their details preserved even if the original structures are later damaged by time or climate change. Yet, for all the brilliance of modern mapping, nothing can replace the sensation of actually stepping into a cave: the cool breath of air, the smell of damp stone, the echo of footsteps fading into infinite dark. Technology may capture the image of a cave, but only the human heart can feel its spirit. Caves continue to teach us that the world beneath our feet is not empty, but alive. They are storytellers carved by patience, sanctuaries of silence, and scientists of stone. Within them are preserved fossils, minerals, and hidden records of the planet's ever-changing mood. They guard rare ecosystems and reveal the astonishing creativity of life that learns to flourish without sunlight. They inspire myths and legends that shape our understanding of mystery and creation. And as we look to the stars, caves still guide us, showing how life might endure in the cold shadows of alien worlds. They are bridges, between past and future, between science and spirituality, between the known and the infinite. So, dear listener, as our journey through these underground realms comes to a close, imagine all that we have seen together: rivers flowing in darkness, crystals growing in silence, echoes that linger longer than a heartbeat. We have walked beside the ghosts of ancient seas and seen creatures that live without eyes or light. We have traced the slow patience of geology and the daring persistence of life. Caves remind us that the earth is deeper, older, and stranger than it first appears. They are places where story meets science, where myth becomes memory, and where silence speaks louder than sound. Now, as you lie here, let your breath slow and your mind soften. Picture yourself descending gently into the cool stillness of an underground chamber. Hear the steady drip of water echoing softly in the dark. See the faint glimmer of mineral walls, smooth and glistening after centuries of unseen formation. Feel the air, calm and constant, wrapping you in a blanket of quiet stone. In this serene stillness, the noise of the world above fades away. You are safe, you are small, and you are part of something vast and timeless. The caves endure, patient, silent, and eternal, reminding us that even in darkness there is beauty, and even in stillness there is life. As you drift now towards sleep, imagine those same caves holding the Earth's dreams, soft and slow, as if the planet itself were breathing in rhythm with you. Close your eyes. Let go. Rest deeply in the endless quiet beneath the earth. Good night.